Just wait for that to work. This button right here. Oh no. We're gonna have to try that once again. Let's hit that again. Why? Do I have to turn off the music to make this work? I like the music. Let's try again. Alright, reminder to myself, put that on a better hard drive. Put that file on a better hard drive. Alright, so wait, what? This is the content we're doing. We're playing Persona 2 Innocent Sin. No, I've already played through Innocent Sin. I need to finish Eternal Punishment. Well, we got some news from Pennsylvania, right? We got some news from Pennsylvania, some Trump tent. We gotta watch this guy and see what he's up to, see what he's doing, see how he moves. Not that button. Oh, Davy Cliff says play Fimsy walking around theme. Wait, which one is that? Is that the one that's like dirt dirt? I'm gonna do the horn part. No, what am I trying to say? It's like it's destroying everything. I can't remember the name of the song. It's something to that effect though. SMT2 is peak. Well, we gotta see what's going on here first, right? Video games will have to take a backseat for now. It has the EP Fusion song vibe. It's a little bit more glamorous. It reminds me of ballroom version of Malibu by Masayoshi Takanaka. All right, so let's see what's going on with our favorite lolcow, the Trumpster.
Early voting begins today in one of the critical swing states, Georgia. Former President Bill Clinton, the last Democrat before Joe Biden.
He's so weird.
To flip that state blue, campaigned in the Peach State for Kamala Harris yesterday.
You have to realize it is literally possible.
Is he like the same age as Biden?
That the whole election could be decided here.
That's right.
It is possible.
Yes, it is.
There are 7 states where the election is too close to call.
One of them, though, is perhaps more important than the rest. Both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump campaigned in Pennsylvania yesterday. Harris going after Trump for his recent comments referring to some Americans as, quote, enemies from within.
Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged. And he is out for unchecked power. That's what he's looking for. He wants to send the military.
Look, he wants a dance party that never ends. And that is more than we can handle. A Donald Trump everlasting dance party would destroy our nation, would shake it to its very foundations, right? We must stop this man before he YMCA's his way into destroying the country.
After American citizens.
So there's Harris on the one hand. Donald Trump on the other hand.
We're going to get so much good stuff today, chat. We're going to get Hannibal Lecter. We're going to get the Trump dance party. Oh my God, the Trump dance party. I got to figure out a way to do that, right? Because he's using copyright music. But if we put our own music over his dance party, then we can jam out with him.
Turned his event into a dance party yesterday after 2 people suffered medical emergencies at the event.
I mean, 2 people suffer medical emergencies at your event? At your long, boring speech? Just start a dance party.
Go and vote. Let me hear that music, please.
Everyone, let's thank President
loud,
Trump.
Nice and loud.
Oh my God. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, wait, which one is this? Oh, it's Nothing Compares to You.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Oh no, it's YMCA. That's his stand, chat. His JoJo stand would be YMCA or DMCA. If I keep this music on too long, I'll get DMCA'd.
Goldberg, CNN political commentator, co-founder of The Dispatch. Elliot Williams, CNN legal analyst, former federal prosecutor. Kate Bedingfield, former White House communications.
I'm glad you brought a prosecutor to find out like what the legal recourse is against this guy partying too hard. He's party rocking, chat. That's the problem that I have with this new incarnation of Donald Trump, is it feels a little too close to, do you remember the video for party rocking? Like, right? How it was like you have to put headphones in, but then there's all these zombies and they're party rocking, and you have to pretend, you have to party rock along with the zombies to pretend like you're one of them so they won't eat you. Any party rock veterans out there from the 2010s?
Director and a CNN political commentator, and Brad Todd, Republican strategist and a partner in On Message. Welcome to all of you. Maybe we should, I don't know, bring back a little bit more.
Any party rockers in the house tonight?
IMCA, we could like put a little bit of VO there.
Just put on music for 52 minutes and just
sway.
sit
And
and
just
sway.
sway.
Look,
You know?
It's supposed to be the Joy campaign.
Viewers can't see them, but you have all these balloons up here and you never drop them.
Oh, really? Yeah, we should put some balloons. That would be fun. But seriously, I mean, I'm interested in this because, I mean, I don't even know how many dozens, hundreds of campaign events I have covered in my career. I have never seen anything like this. I've never seen a candidate do anything like this.
Nobody has.
It sounds like he got a little fed up.
He needs to do.
And went with an unorthodox way of getting around taking questions.
He needs to do Uptown Funk.
Look, I think this whole election, we're getting the contrast you're seeing between these campaigns is that I think the Harris people, for understandable reasons, are very frustrated.
We gotta mute this because they're playing YMCA under it. Come on.
America doesn't see the Donald Trump that they see, and their basic argument is, look at the guy who actually is there, not the
Stop playing YMCA under this guy.
pre-COVID economy. And that's a very hard argument to make because people think they're eyewitnesses to what the next Trump presidency is going to be like, and I think it's going to be a different presidency.
And moreover, those of you who are nostalgic for the Trump presidency and the Trump economy, you're forgetting all
Okay, look, you can have nostalgia, but please, for fuck's sake, have nostalgia for like Cascada every time we touch. Have nostalgia for, you know, party rocking. Have nostalgia for, I don't know, fucking dubstep. If I don't care, right? Just not for Trump. Not for like if you want to have nostalgia, go back beyond 2017, please, for fuck's sake, right? That should be where your fucking nostalgia is, even though that's what got us Donald Trump. Like, if you want to be nostalgic.
with when Trump was president. Even if you have these fond memories of what your pocketbook looked like at the time, do you remember 2020? Do you remember what America was like? Do you remember?
Did he hit the ski slopes? It looks like it, Afroponics.
How you felt at the time. There was a lot of craziness and silliness that we saw here. But again, I think there's that frustration that something is not coming through to that, whatever percentage of Americans just aren't buying it.
I tell you what, though, as an analyst, I look at the juxtaposition there, and you know, the campaign that's having the most fun usually is the one that feels best about itself. And I know a lot of Republicans were a little worried because Donald Trump wasn't having a whole lot of fun in September, and he was grumpy, he was grousing. You still see it poke through every once in a while. I think a lot of people will be happy.
I don't know if he's having fun. I think he was annoyed. I think he was annoyed, and he's self-soothing, right? I get what they're saying, and on one hand, like, this is the kind of shit my dad would do. But my dad's not running for president, and there's, you know, there's a reason for that, right? It's that he doesn't understand that you can't sit up there and, you know, like, I don't know, tap the chair, like play bad drums on the chair in front of you for 40 minutes, right? That's not how you do a political rally. That's not how you do a town hall.
That's having fun on the trail because it indicates that he's more confident about where the election's going.
Maybe, but also, is he running through the?
That's cope, by the way.
I mean, you combine this like concert yesterday with he's campaigning in California, he's campaigning in New York. I mean, is he really like hustling for the vote?
Well, what they're talking about is this, chat. There's the Trump campaign, which is his campaign commercials, right? There's the Trump campaign, which is his campaign staff. And then there's the Trump campaign, which is Donald Trump himself. And the Donald Trump himself stuff works really well for the faithful, for the Trump cult members. If you are a Trump cult member and you go to a town hall and Trump gets annoyed by the people passing out there, and he instead decides to switch to music, and he awkwardly does this, right? You probably like that. But to the rest of America, that's fucking weird, right? If you're a Trump dyed-in-the-wool fan and he goes up and talks about Hannibal Lecter, you're like, yeah, Hannibal Lecter, I get it, right? The rest of America does not get it. It doesn't make sense why he's talking about Hannibal Lecter, right? So what what the Kamala campaign's frustration seems to be is that there is a very unhinged, unwell, cognitively declining version of Trump that they are seeing because they're going over all of that footage, and that the rest of Americans not seeing. If you're a regular American and you start to watch a Donald Trump campaign rally, you're gonna last for like 2 minutes, and you're gonna be like, all right, that's cool, Donald Trump, whatever, right? But that you don't see the fucked up shit until, like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 minutes in. Then he brings out the snake, he brings out the sharks, he brings out Hannibal Lecter. It's a fucking dance party. It's a Donald Trump dementia dance party. And yeah, I guess it's kind of frustrating for, to be the opposition, to that, and have the media not even seem to notice that. Because honestly, it's weirdly like behind a boredom buffer, right? There's a boredom buffer. Most people don't get past the boredom buffer. You don't get past the boredom buffer unless Trump is ASMR for you. And if you're one of those Trump ASMR people, then you just get hypnotized by his shit, right? But if you can sort of slip regular Americans into 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 20 minutes into his rally and show them what is going on, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? What's wrong with this guy? And that is indeed the right question to be asking. What is wrong with this guy? That is the question that we're going to be asking today. Sharks or batteries? Yeah, that's right.
That he needs in the final push here. There's a lot of chatter about, is Harris doing enough to run through the tape? I don't know that you could really argue that Donald Trump is. But I also think we're going to see the shift from Harris back into a more aggressive prosecution of the case against Trump. Because, look, when you are running against somebody who, should be a historically unpopular opponent, you do have to use that against them. I know there's a lot of back and forth about, has she done enough to make the case for herself? And yes, that's true. You have to give people something to vote for.
Okay, so chat, let's just break it down for you. All right. We had 3 historically unpopular candidates: Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Joe Biden. All right. These are weird candidates. We had Hillary Clinton because she was inevitable. We had Donald Trump because the Republican Party is a clown show and they couldn't beat Donald Trump, right? And then we had Joe Biden as some kind of a foil to Donald Trump, right? Everything that's wrong with Donald Trump, everything that's messed up about Donald Trump, it's like the opposite with Joe Biden. But Joe Biden never should have been the president in the first place, right? This was, in fact, let me put it to you another way, right? We had 3 historically unpopular candidates and 1 historically popular candidate that never made it. That's Bernie Sanders.
But now there are freaking communists.
That is Senator Bernard Sanders from Vermont. And in order to prevent Senator Bernard from Vermont from taking the Democratic nomination, Obama made a phone call. He got all of the shit Dem candidates to drop out, right? Everybody drop out, endorse Biden, right? The only person that didn't drop out, 'cause she was probably asked not to drop out, was Elizabeth Warren, the snake. The snake stayed in, right? Elizabeth Warren stayed in to divide up the votes for people that wanted a Democrat that's not afraid of their own shadow. And because of that, we got Joe Biden, right? So Biden is more, like I said before, that Biden's a little bit of a foil, a little bit of a panacea, a little bit of a remedy to Trump. Yeah, on some level, but he was picked not to be a remedy to Trump. He was picked to be a remedy to Bernie, right? And so because of the Democratic Party's intransigence and unwillingness to acknowledge that it is a different time, it is a different place, and indeed a different kind of Democrat needs to run, they end up with Hillary, they end up with Biden, and they don't realize that these candidates are fucking kryptonite to your electoral chances. The only reason that Biden won was because he was running against Trump. Let's be real. Like, if he had been running against a regular ass Republican, McCain, Romney, whoever, right, Youngkin, I'm trying to think. I can't remember the other Republicans, right? But he would have lost. He won because it was Donald Trump, and people were sick of Donald Trump's shit by the time that Joe Biden came around. So yeah, you've had 3 historically unpopular candidates, and now you've got Kamala Harris, who has the advantage of not being Biden, but who has the disadvantage of having been part of the Biden administration. And that shit is still holding her back. That and her own like inability to recognize what people like about her. The fact that people like about her that she's not Biden. She's too worried about seeming presidential to realize that it's a bigger imperative for you to seem not like Biden than it is for you to seem presidential. And because of that, she's making this a very, very close race. It is literally, look, we've got 7 states, right? We've opened up 1 extra swing state, that's North Carolina, right? We've got 7 states that are but within 1 or 2 points of each other. That means Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Any of those states, any of those 7 states could either go Kamala or they could go Trump, right? Reasonably speaking, right? It's possible, right? That is a wild election to have. That is a wild election to have, right? It could either be very, 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 very close, or it could be, it could be a semi landslide like in either direction, right? And we just don't know. And we also don't know. Like, we suspect that maybe the polling's off. The polling's been off in the past few elections, but we don't know by how much and in what direction. We don't know which pollsters are overcorrecting. And we're also not taking into account the grifting polls that have come into, a lot of these state polls that we're seeing are the equivalent of a Rasmussen poll. In other words, a poll that's meant to appeal to those who want to see Trump as being ahead, or Trump as being competitive, or whatever, right? So we don't even know what the effect of that is. We do know that there's polls that are grifting, right? Just like a grifter, like they're telling people what they want to hear. And if you want this to be a close race, or if you want Donald Trump to win, then you kind of manipulate the poll in Trump's favor slightly. So it's a mess, and it's hard to tell where the pieces will fall in the end. But what we do know is that we've got 3 weeks. Is that right? 21 days. Wow. Until the election. Voting has started in Georgia. Voting has started in many states, right? Many of you have probably already voted as well. And it's really hard to know how this is all going to shake out.
But it would be malpractice to abandon making these points about the kind of fundamental threat that Trump poses to democracy. I mean, you have to use your opponent's vulnerabilities against them. And I hope we're going to see her do that over this final 3 weeks here.
I think that's a trap for her. All voters' worries about Donald Trump in that regard are baked in. And the candidates need to fight over what they're going to do in the next 4 years.
I agree there has to be a forward-looking element to the message, but I think we've seen...
This guy's coping hard. He's like, no, nothing that Donald Trump did in the past counts. January 6th, what's that? Like, that's you're talking about yesterday's news. That doesn't... No, it does. It very much matters.
For example, when Vance wouldn't say in the VP debate, that Donald Trump lost in 2020, that was one of the most... problematic moments for swing voters. We saw it in the focus groups afterwards. People said, I can't accept that. And so, that is an extraordinary thing. And I think she has to use that extraordinariness, in her campaign.
And speaking of unusual tactics at campaign rallies, one of the things that Harris did yesterday was actually put Donald Trump's comments, his recent comments from over the weekend about the enemy within, about using the military, on a big screen and playing it for people at the rally. And then the campaign also cut, let's play a little bit of this ad that they turned around and cut immediately, hitting Trump on these comments. Watch.
The worst people are the enemies from within.
So now, chat, we watched this video. I don't know if you remember this, because the audio was so bad. In fact, I left this. This is...
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
This is Coachella.
This ad that they turned around and cut immediately, hitting Trump on these comments. Watch.
The worst people are the
You hear about how bad that audio was? Yeah, I basically had to get away from it, right? It was impossible to watch, but he said some shit in this one that apparently I just completely missed because it was so hard to hear him.
The enemy from within are more dangerous than Russia. We have some very bad people. It should be very easily handled by the military.
I do remember the day that he suggested that we shoot people on the streets.
A second term would be worse. There will be no one to stop his worst instincts.
So, meanwhile, Brad, I take your point about needing to be forward-looking. In many ways, that they're trying to get people to look forward at that.
Yeah, and again, I think there's the problem. Like, there's a disconnect. They also have some good ads where they go through a lot of Trump's former cabinet members saying he's not fit. We can't do this again, and all that. The problem is, I just think for a lot of Trump voters, again, Harris isn't actually trying to reach Trump voters at this point. Harris is trying to reach people who are on the fence or may just not want to vote. But I think that for a lot of people, they say, well, they said all of this in 2016 about him, how he's going to be dangerous and all that kind of stuff, and he wasn't a problem.
He wasn't a problem. What is this guy smoking? No, there was no big major problem in 2020. I remember everything being smooth sailing. And then Biden came in and COVID happened, and then that's the order of events, right? Biden came in and caused COVID. What is this guy smoking?
And what they're not factoring in is that the people who held him back, the circuit breaker people, aren't going to be in this administration. So it's just a different equation than the last time.
Right. I love that even this dude who seems to realize that, like, yeah, that Trump is a danger, right? But only because his caretakers aren't going to be there, only because he's going to have people from the Heritage Foundation empowering him rather than Republican establishment figures like holding him back from crashing the country into a brick wall, rather than realizing that the country very narrowly avoided a brick wall. Like, he didn't want to leave. Do you not remember that? Do you have no memory? Well, I mean, I guess we got him out of the White House. I mean, there was claw marks from pulling him out of the White House, right? The furniture was all fucked up. Everything, there was shit stains all over the White House, right? But we did eventually get him out, so I guess everything was okay. Like, we only lost what, like 1 million? What? How many people died in the pandemic? Like, it's like 1 million people or something. Oh, it could have been worse. That
argument's pretty tricky.
Let's bring in CNN's Isaac Dover for more on this. Where do you want to begin? What exactly?
Here we go. That's our guy. This is what I love about Trump.
It's a little.
He was cool, chat, in the 80s or the 70s. I'm not even sure. He was cool at some time. He remembers being cool, and he doesn't recognize that shit is not cool anymore.
But strange to
when he does that shit, he thinks he's zaddy.
Even wrap our heads around, Kate. Donald Trump was doing an event that was meant to be him speaking at Townhall, answering questions and talking about what he would be doing as president. There were some medical incidents. 2 people, for one and then another, collapsed, were being treated, and Donald Trump just started to ask for music to be played instead, and then he danced. But look, I can talk about it. I think we should just take a look at what happened there last night.
Go and vote. Let me hear that music, please.
Oh God, we gotta be careful. I gotta ride this. Okay. So is that Ave Maria? I don't know. Like, there we go again. Very cool. Very normal.
Play YMCA. Go ahead.
We gotta play YMCA. But we can only play like 2 seconds of it.
A lot of dancing for about 40 minutes last night, Kate.
Honestly, people there, they were there for it. That's for sure. His play.
They are there for the naked emperor. That is what they are there for.
I want to ask you about kind of the new tactic.
Right, they will never call him naked just because he's wagging his fucking beanie weenies in their face, right? They will pretend that he's full. His clothing is immaculate.
Unstable. She's now headed to Michigan today. What are the plans?
What she's going to be doing in Michigan is highlighting something that she rolled out yesterday. It's called an economic opportunity agenda for black men, trying to make that case to black men around the country, that especially younger black men, that she should be the one with their vote. And she'll be doing that in
I want to point out a mistake that the Harris campaign is making here, and it feels like the media is kind of aggravating it. Right? So why is she doing this particular iteration of her campaign, right? Where she's focusing on black men? It's because as a demographic, if you look at the voting patterns of black men in like 2016 versus 2020 versus 2024, right? The lead that the Democrats had was greater going back. It's still a commanding lead. It's still, you know, a demographic that swings, you know, wildly towards the Democrats. But they keep on talking about it as if these demographics are going Trump's way, right? There is some movement. There's movement of about like 8% maybe, right? 8 to 10% max movement of a demographic that is very much in the favor of the Democrats and of Kamala Harris. But the way that she's acting like this is a problem reinforces the idea that this is a problem. Reinforces, right? Remember Blexit? Remember Blacks for Trump? All this shit. This shit was a joke because by and large, these are demographics that were not supportive of Trump. But when the Democrats keep on playing along with this, they feed into the mythology that actually could become a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And it's just, it's electoral self-harm. And you're seeing a lot of electoral self-harm from the Harris campaign right now.
An appearance with Charlemagne the God, the radio host for the Breakfast Club, talking about all of those things. But she's also taking, with 3 weeks left here, a pretty stringent stance against things that Donald Trump has been saying. And her approach has been to not just talk about them, but to let people see it for themselves. So one of the clips that she has talked about is this comment from Donald Trump a couple days ago that there is an enemy within that might need to be dealt with by the military. Let's take a listen to what was said there.
He considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. He wants to send the military after.
And the funny thing is that he is actually an enemy of our country. He is an enemy of the American people. He is contradictory to the interests of the American people. And yet him like projecting that forward, it somehow works. It's some sort of big lie that people buy into.
American citizens.
And that is her speaking about these comments from former President Trump, that there is this enemy within leftist, radical people, he said, that might need to have the National Guard or the military brought in to deal with them. And those are comments that Harris wants people to be focused on when she thinks about what a Trump presidency.
Wow, you gotta love how CNN clips wrap up. Let's take a look.
You, Tim, that
let's see what MSNBC has to say about this.
While Shaq was talking, a few of the things that former President Trump said is that we're, meaning the United States, we're a developing nation too. Look at Detroit. Look at our cities. He called out Barack Hussein Obama and said China thinks we're stupid.
And we're going to look at the dance party in a second. Don't think that we're missing that. There's a lot of good stuff in that. We're going to get Hannibal Lecter. We're going to get Trump dancing. We're going to get YMCA. We're going to get all that shit. We're going to get all that shit. Like Trump's going to dance to, like, I've even got the set list for you, right? Again, like I said, we can't play the music that he's listening to for you because it's copyrighted, but I'll play something over it so we can imagine, you know, being there at the Trump dementia dance party And we'll also, I'll give you the set list. I'll tell you like which songs he's playing. And it's funny because so many of these songs, they're like really big, famous, well-loved songs, but they're the like, you know, for instance, Hallelujah is a song that Leonard Cohen wrote and that Jeff Buckley made famous. Trump is listening to the, oh my God, what the fuck is his name? Is it the Rufus Wainwright version of it? Oh my God, I can't even remember who sings it, but he's like listening to like the kind of like the off-brand, you know, versions. Nothing Compares to You, great song by Prince. He's listening to the Sinead O'Connor version of it. Listens to some Guns N' Roses. I mean, this is like dad rock. He's you know, grooving to the dad rock.
Just yesterday, at one point, Trump told people to vote on January 5th. Fact check, that's not election day. What do you see happening here?
Yeah, well, and then there was the North Korea-style statement there. As a former flack, I just like listening to that statement from Stephen Chung in the Trump campaign, like as if like he is a Kim Jong-un style dictator who has to be the smartest person in history, is a little alarming as well. Look, I mean, Donald Trump. This is the thing about Donald Trump.
All right, let me check in with Shorts chat at risk of derailing my whole stream. Sin Biv in Maine says both parties are two wings of the same bird. This is all a distraction. Look, you're from Maine. I'm tempted to put like a southern accent behind what you say, but I mean, I'm guessing because you're from the northern extremity of the country, you probably don't have a southern accent. You probably wouldn't appreciate me making fun of you with the random hog voice. But I mean, this is a cliche at this point. But you're not entirely wrong.
Davy Cliff super chatted $9.99. Obama scolding was some of grossest stuff I've ever seen.
Obama
appeal to fragile Mayo libs.
I agree with you. I agree that Obama's not doing Harris any favors. And there's like a scoldy tone to some part of this campaign now that's not going to help them either. I don't know why they think it would. But I agree with you. But like, no, I was trying to, oh my God. But yeah, look, see, Senviv, let me give you some credit though. All right. Cause I think both parties do suck. However, one party clearly sucks harder. Okay. One candidate is like the worst guy we've ever fucking had. And that's Donald Trump. All right. So even though I agree with you that the Democrat Party is not doing right by the American people, they're not doing right by their base, they're not doing right by workers, right? They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? They've very much gotten away from their identity as a party in the post New Deal consensus. But I would say that they suck a little bit less than Trump, right? Trump is just like it's like looking at one party and it's like, okay, that party is clearly afflicted with a very bad, you know, cold. All right. And then you look at the other party and it's this giant fucking tumor. And the question you're asking is, do you want the giant pulsating tumor over here, or would you like to have a cold? Right? I'm gonna have a cold. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna blow my nose. I'm gonna have a cough and a sore throat rather than turning into a giant blob of metastasizing cancer. I believe that the cancer is worth avoiding, right? That's my opinion, but I do agree with you when you say that both parties suck. They do in fact suck.
Is that in this campaign, the team decided that they're just going to let the public see unadulterated Donald Trump, and that worked for them in the Republican primary because Republican primary voters like unadulterated Donald Trump. And the reality is the real Donald Trump does not have.
Okay, so now that's Bloomberg. I think this went down today, his conversation with Bloomberg News. We might try to take a look at that. There's so much Trump tent, chat. There's almost too much. There is too much.
Like mainstream conservatives from a bygone era, if you let him be Trump, he's not going to talk about tax cuts and regulation cuts, and
he's going to talk about the late great Hannibal Lecter.
Strong defense. events. Like, that's not him. He's going to do racist dog whistle, racist air horn, really, type comments about things that are wrong with the inner city. He's going to talk about mass deportations. He's going to talk about 1,000% tariffs. He's going to talk about sending the military after the enemy within. So, like, that is Donald Trump. And it's the Harris campaign's job, and you saw they started to do that last night, to make sure that the vote.
I'm sorry, bro. Did you say air horn? Did you say air horn? The racist air horn of Donald Trump. Yes, there we go.
Voters know that when they go to the polls, and I suspect that's why she's doing Brett Baier as well tomorrow over on Fox, because.
So yeah, what he's talking about is the fact that Kamala is actually doing some media that you wouldn't think that she'd do, right? She's going on Fox News. This has pissed off Trump greatly. She's also going to okay, now I don't know if this is really happening, right? She says she wants to go on Joe Rogan. And indeed, Joe Rogan's somebody that's not great at asking follow-up questions, so there's kind of like not as much of a risk, right? Obviously, the Joe Rogan audience largely does not like Kamala, but the goal would be to change like 1 out of 20 minds on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? To go into like a place where a lot of people, just think really bad things about her and show enough of them that she's not really that bad in order to, change some votes, right? That would be the goal there. So I don't know what's going to happen, honestly, right? It feels like Rogan might try to either get both of them, like talk to Trump and talk to Kamala, or neither of them. I can't actually imagine him like doing one but not the other.
She wants the small percentage of Fox voters that are still in that old school style Republicanism to recognize what they're voting for if they're voting for Trump. It's this unhinged material.
You're voting for Hannibal Lecter
that you just read.
Zerlina, I want to play part of what one person who was and obviously a Trump supporter.
Oh my God. Sassy's got it. You know, it would get her 10 times as many votes, speaking out against genocide. Yeah, now, before anybody says like that this is silly, right? Before anybody says that this is a marginal issue, understand that a majority of not just Americans, but even Republicans want aid to Israel to be conditioned on a ceasefire, right? That is not a fringe viewpoint by any means, right? But the Democrats are acting like it is, and it's much to their detriment. Like their state, like, look, I feel like if Kamala Harris were to take Sassy's advice, the state of Michigan, which is now in play, could go either way. Kamala is usually up slightly in it, but it's within the margin of error. That would go to a state that she had in the bank. She could count on Michigan. She would probably gain some ground in Pennsylvania, right? This would have meaningful effects on the campaign for her, good effects, right? But don't expect it to happen. Don't expect it to happen. She's, basically tied herself to Biden on this issue.
At that event last night, we talked to a bunch of them, but I think that this is indicative of how a lot of folks who were there last night felt. Here it is.
I felt like I was sitting in a.
You want Trump to call into her Fox News interview? That would be some epic bacon right there. That would be great.
Room with him, just him. I could have been here another hour, another 2 hours. It was just great spending.
This is what I'm saying, chat. Trump is ASMR for these people. They love it.
Time with the president.
I did expect him to take more questions. I thought he.
Oh my God, the music! You gotta keep the music under control. I could have been here another hour, another 2 hours. It was just great spending time with the president. I did expect him to take more questions, says she says. I thought he would talk. Okay, we just have to.
That discourages somebody who goes to a Trump rally. But do you think that either individually or cumulatively any of this matters to undecided voters?
I don't know how many undecided voters there are out there. I think there are people who don't want to admit that.
I think that would matter if you could zero in on the right thing, because the problem is that the sort of money shot for Trump's rallies is a clip within a, I don't know, 1 hour to 2 hour speech or town hall or whatever he's doing, right? Like, how are you going to show the weirdness of the dancing, right? How are you going to show a lot of what Trump does that's weird? You got to kind of sit there and watch it. So that's the problem, right? The Trump cult, like those two people they were talking to, they love him. They could have stayed there for 2 more hours. They could have stayed there for 8 more hours, right? They would love it if Trump became a streamer a la Hasanabi. They would love it if Trump just like did a 10-hour stream every day. They would have him on in the background. But most people aren't like that, and people that are, you know, on the fence or you know, slightly skeptical of Trump, if they were able to see what was so weird, they would be off the fence. they would be doing whatever they could to make sure this guy did not get reelected. And it's the challenge of kind of showing the slow slide into dementia that Trump is demonstrating.
Going to vote for Donald Trump. Maybe they're afraid of some of the judgment that comes along with that decision. But I do think that it's clear as day to me that the people that are at the Trump rallies, the people that continue to support Donald Trump, are not doing that because of specific policies, because he's not talking about policies. That rally was the perfect example.
Let's be honest. Trump has never been about policies. Trump has been about vibes, and whether those vibes are the vibes of success from his show The Apprentice, which, you know, is just kind of, you know, huffing the vapors of a you know, a business career that never really existed, or whether those vibes are, you know, wanting to piss off the, you know, use Donald Trump as a vehicle to own the libs, right? He's never been about policy. He'll gesture towards policy. He'll demagogue against immigrants. He'll demagogue against, you know, different groups that are hated. But as far as actually talking about policy, like I mean, I don't know if we'll get into it, but tariffs, right? It's probably the biggest policy that Trump is talking about right now. But when you get him talking about tariffs, he says things like 200% tariff. Now, if you don't know, a tariff is generally not a tool used to raise money. That is not what a tariff does, because either a tariff is punitive, and what it's doing is protecting an emerging American industry against foreign competition, right? Either it is keeping foreign goods out of the U.S. economy, or it's, you know, or it's a small tariff, right? And Trump keeps on talking about a 200% tariff. If you make a 200% tariff on anything, you're just not going to get that good coming in, right? And if you don't get that good, do you see what I'm saying, chat? If you're selling lipstick, and this lipstick is cheaper than American lipstick, and you want to protect the American lipstick industry, make it cost twice as much, 200% tariff, or 3 times as much, right? 200% tariff, right? And then nobody's going to buy, you know, foreign lipstick, right? But you're also not going to make money off of that tariff because nobody's selling it, nobody's buying it. You're effectively keeping it out. So, right, the policy that he talks about most of all right now is a policy that he himself has no understanding of, and is saying stuff that is just nonsensical about.
And Townhall was the perfect example of the fact that people are there for the show. They are there because they want to belong to what people have called a cult. And I think when you see 39 minutes of him dancing to songs from the 1970s, you get the sense that people are a part of the MAGA movement for reasons that are very different from political coalitions of the past and the present. I also will say that this is incredibly dangerous. What he is talking about, and I agree with Tim when he talks about that North Korea-style statement, that was very jarring. I think that when we use our eyes and we have all our neurons firing appropriately, Chris, we can see that when you have somebody who wants to be a dictator on day one, and you combine that with Project 2025 and the Supreme Court saying that a future president has immunity, we are on the path for something very, very dangerous that is not democracy. And so while it's funny to talk about a weird rally where he's dancing for 39 minutes, I think the stakes could not be higher.
Yeah, and again, I want to say that I think the reason that we wanted to talk about this was because I wondered the influence that it might have. Nobody thinks, Tim, that this is going to influence those voters who were there. And I personally put undecided voters into two categories. That very tiny number who are undecided about who they might vote for, which I agree with Zerlina, and I think most people do. It's a tiny, tiny number. There's also people undecided about whether they'll vote, right? Can they be inspired by somebody? Will they be inspired not to vote for somebody and therefore vote for the other person? Having said that, it was one of the interesting things to me last night, because so much was talked about in terms of Joe Biden when he was still the candidate. First of all, Trump's musical tastes are eclectic, from Ave Maria.
Okay, let's check this out. We got Ave Maria by Pavarotti. We got It's Time to Say Goodbye by Andrea Bocelli. It's a man's world. Jesus Christ. Of course. Oh my God. You see, you just got Rufus Wainwright. Oh, it is by Rufus Wainwright. I actually didn't know. There's somebody else that I can't remember that did Hallelujah, maybe even before Jeff Buckley. Anyway, it doesn't matter. YMCA by the Village People. Hallelujah by Rufus Wainwright. Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. American Trilogy by Elvis. Richmond, North of Richmond. Still trying to make that his song, by Oliver Anthony. And he ends with November Rain by Guns N' Roses.
There's the playlist from Ave.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's Memory. No, Memory from Cats.
Maria to Guns N' Roses. Throw in a little bit of Rufus Wainwright. But it almost seemed like...
Is it John Cale? I think John Cale is the other version of Hallelujah that I'm thinking of.
He lost interest in taking questions, and he was much more interested.
But yeah, if I remember correctly, Rufus Wainwright's Hallelujah is the one you might remember from Shrek. Was it Shrek 1? Was that in Shrek 1 or Shrek 2? I can't remember.
In listening to music.
I haven't been Shrek'd in a really long time.
I don't know, when you look at sort of the pattern of what we're seeing.
I need to get a bunch of friends together and get Shrek'd. We need to have a Shrekathon.
What do you think his level of interest in the campaign is?
Yeah, I'll say it if you don't want to, Chris, but I do think the playlist kind of felt like an old-timey gay bar a little bit from the 80s. So Village People and opera and show tunes, whatever. I'm just observing. Somebody's been doing...
Yeah, people have made this comment before that there is something about Trump that, and don't take this the wrong way, right? There's something about, like, Trump's personal culture that is not exactly heteronormative. Now, it's not me making a criticism or calling him gay or trying to, shame him for that. That's probably, like, the least bad aspect of his personality, the music that he's into. I can't hate the music that he's into, honestly.
A few gay bars.
But it is strange for somebody that's come to represent, such a reactionary element of the American body politic to be so theatrical, let's just say. He's a theatrical man.
As far as Trump's mental acuity, again, I think that the people that are excited for Trump, they're not going anywhere. We've already established that. So this is the question. I think it's the challenge for the Harris campaign and for those of us who are advocating against Donald Trump, which is that is this risk too great? And Harris really pivoted to that in her speech last night. This is too dangerous. This is too risky. And I think that encompasses his comments about the military going after the enemy within. And it also encompasses his mental acuity. Do you trust that this guy is going to have the wherewithal in 4 years? 4 weeks, but in 4 years, when he's 82, when he's older than Joe Biden is today, to be making life or death decisions? I don't think so. And I don't think that's a risk worth taking. And I think that's a case that you're going to see the Harris campaign make in the final few weeks.
$9.99. Trump's idol and mentor was a gay man.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Roy Cohn. Yeah, we haven't really gone over this, right? But there's a new Trump biopic, right? By biopic, I mean it's a biography. It's you know, talking about not Donald Trump, the candidate, not even Donald Trump, the reality star, but Donald Trump. What? Excuse me?
Record-breaking day on the first day of early voting in that crucial state. So.
Okay, that's great. I love how CNN just interrupts me. Thanks a lot, CNN. Okay, what was I fucking saying? The Apprentice is what I'm talking about. It's a new biopic about Trump. And it's not actually a hostile biopic, right? It's not a biopic trying to show you how bad Donald Trump is and why you shouldn't vote for him. But at the same time, it's honest about him. And it's honest about where he got his start, how the Trump personality developed. It is not, surprisingly enough, Donald Trump's personality. It is Roy Cohn's personality that he had, like, passed on to him, right? And yeah, Roy Cohn is a self-hating gay man who was part of the McCarthy, you know, House of Un-American Activities era of U.S. politics, and who persecuted and put to death Americans for un-American activities, for supposedly being communist spies, right? He also was part of something that's called the Lavender Scare, which was when gay individuals in the government were targeted and purged in some sense, because there was such a pejorative against being gay that, you know, it was thought that people who were gay could be blackmailed, right? Someone, if a enemy of the U.S. were to find out that they were gay, they could essentially blackmail that person into doing what they want, and also obviously because of homophobia. So, but yeah, Roy Cohn himself died of what he called liver cancer, but what was found much later to be AIDS in the 1980s.
The Georgia Secretary of State, Gabriel.
But not before he taught Donald Trump how to be a fucking scumbag.
Sterling just telling out front that more than 300,000 people cast a ballot today, which crushes the previous record set 4 years ago of 136,000. Now, this video, we'll show you here, shows going the other direction. So our producer is driving this way. The long line of cars waiting to pull into an early voting site. Tonight, both campaigns are trying to read the tea leaves.
Wait, why am I watching this? I was trying to get to, we've got better stuff, actually. Wait, did we even watch this?
21 days until Election Day, and we got to talk about last night. I have been covering Donald Trump since 2015, have gone to so many rallies, I cannot count them all. And I've seen a fair share of strange, unprecedented nominee ever. In fact, Marquette polling showed that 57% of voters agreed at least somewhat that Donald Trump was too old to be president, up from 52% Election Day. And we got to talk about last night. I have been covering Donald Trump since 2015, have gone to so many rallies, I cannot count them all. And I've seen a fair share of strange, unprecedented, and controversial behavior. Just remember, for instance, when he used to read The Snake. But never have I ever seen anything like what happened at his town hall in Oaks, Pennsylvania last night, when instead of continuing to take queries after a couple of attendees had medical events, Trump turned the question and answer session, again with Pennsylvania voters, into a sing-along and sway session.
You know what we could do, though? If my guys can do it, how about we'll do a little music. Let's make this a musical fest. Oh, looky, looky. Turn it up louder. We want a little action here.
Here we go. I could imagine him putting on like Debbie Reynolds, right? That's how like strangely gay coded Trump is. Now, again, I'm not making any comment about his sexual orientation or anything like that. I don't, you know, I'm not saying that he's you know, amorous towards dudes. I'm just saying that culturally he's a little bit just into some stuff that's just not super standard for straight guys. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not the that's not the part of Donald Trump I have a problem with. It is, however, really strange, like I said, for somebody who has become synonymous with this reactionary strain of American politics that seeks to take the country back, you know, to the 1950s and maybe even earlier, right? In its worst incarnations, wants to disenfranchise women's rights to vote. So yeah, we got Ave Maria. Now I wonder about this one, chat, because it feels like he played this one at Butler, and it makes me think that he got it from some movie or something. Is there like a gangster movie or something where somebody nearly dies and they play Ave Maria? It's got to be a reference to something. But yeah, he's playing Ave Maria, just sitting there. What's he doing? That's It's a Man's World by James Brown. What's this one? YMCA. There's Hallelujah by Rufus Wainwright. It's just weird because there's much better, like I'm you know, I don't hate Rufus Wainwright, but there's much better versions of this song. I wonder if he was allowed, maybe he was disallowed from playing them. He loses a lot of his songs, his you know, favorite songs to play by when the artist hears that Donald Trump is using their song at his campaign event, the artist sends a cease and desist. It's the Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. Oh, that's Guns N' Roses. November Rain. But yeah, this is just like honestly, like I said, the Trump sycophants, they go to these events to self-soothe. They go to these events because he is, like that person said, they could have stayed for another hour, they could have stayed for another 2 hours, right? It's kind of a self-soothing event. They get to be close to their guy and see him in his natural element. And for him, the reason that he's gone, that he sort of switched from, this was supposed to be a town hall, right? This was supposed to be question and answers. They you know, the Trump fans commented, he didn't really take very many questions, right? What happened was he goes in there, he starts the town hall, people start passing out, he gets annoyed by it, and he requests some music. And he keeps on another song, right? Sing us a song, You're the Piano Man.
You really should go watch it all. It's interesting.
And we're about to do that right now.
Songs, including Pavarotti's.
Is it the baptism scene from The Godfather? It could be. I assumed it was some, gangster movie like that.
Ave Maria, the Village People's YMCA, Rufus Wainwright's Hallelujah, Elvis's An American Trilogy, James Brown's It's a Man's World, Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, Oliver Anthony's Rich Men North of Richmond, and November Rain by Guns N' Roses. The campaign called it a love fest, a total love fest, in their words. And to be fair, the crowd, for the most part, stayed. But Governor Kristi Noem, there to moderate the discussion, looked periodically baffled and uncomfortable. And as the music kept on going, so did the folks chosen to sit on stage. What makes it stranger is...
Chat, my question is, at what point are Trump events going to start locking the doors, right? I mean, this would be against fire codes and everything, but I could imagine them just bolting the doors, right? Trump is so annoyed by the fact that, you know, when he gives a speech that goes on for an hour, 2 hours, a lot of people leave. A lot of people are, you know, I mean, like, you got to be pretty hardwired into the MAGA cult to really sit there and enjoy it.
Is that this was an event intended to give former President Trump a chance to speak directly to the concerns of his supporters, to stay on message, to talk about policy. But when he did take questions, his answers wandered. On one about home prices, he responded in part with drill, baby, drill. On another about inflation, he brought up Hannibal Lecter.
You want cheaper home prices? We got to drill.
Who he said
We need more oil.
was his stand-in for migrants who had broken out of asylums to claim.
Well, it's also another grievance that he has, right? He talks about Hannibal Lecter, which seems like a non sequitur. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, he's trying to say that asylum seekers, like Asylum, who lives in an asylum, Hannibal Lecter, right? It's something like that. It's some non-linear bullshit, right? That he's his mind is wandering. I don't know, but this is but he's more annoyed by the fact that not just the press, not just people that are weirded out by it, but his campaign is telling him that talking about Hannibal Lecter is only serving one function, and that's making him look weird. He already looks weird enough.
Asylum. The whole episode.
Love Fest or Freak Fest? Good question.
Igniting questions about Donald Trump's mental acuity. At 78, he is the oldest major party presidential nominee ever.
I'm sorry, we gotta mute it when they're playing. I don't know how MSNBC is getting away with this, but
to be president, up from 15.
You cannot just hang out here and listen to YMCA like Donald Trump.
Last night to make sure they go out and vote on January 5th. Joining us now, reporters who have been covering Donald Trump for a whole lot of time, a long time. NBC News correspondent Garrett Haake, who covers the Trump campaign for us right now. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale covered him in 2015 and 16 with me. Washington Post senior national political correspondent and MSNBC political analyst Ashley Parker, and Politico White House reporter and co-author of Politico's West Wing Playbook, Eli Stokols. All of us have been covering Donald Trump in one way or another now for nearly a decade. So all of us can speak to what we saw last night. Garrett, I want to begin with you. I want just the rundown of what happened, what the campaign says was going on. Give us the reporting.
So part of the lead up to this is one of these town hall style events where Trump comes in with a guest moderator. They take prepared questions from the audience, usually not a ton, maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 questions. And it's more focused than a rally, but not by much. Now, this was at a packed venue here, and what you saw before the musical interlude were 2 health episodes in the crowd. Again, not uncommon at Trump events where somebody passes out and has to be tended to by medics, and music was used as basically an interlude while those things were being handled. At some point after the second incident is when your coverage picked up, Katie, and where Trump seemed to, for whatever reason, turn his back on the format, essentially bail out on what had been the plan and go to this musical interlude instead. The campaign's response after the fact has been that this isn't what you think it is. They have argued that this is not about mental acuity. They've said that, you know, in a statement.
It's not the way that you think it is, in the way that when like a mom walks in to see their kid with a bottle of lotion sitting in front of the computer and the kid insists that they are moisturizing, it's not what it looks like, right? It's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. It's not what it looks like, except that it's totally what it looks like.
The campaign, sort of an official statement that Donald Trump is as focused and sharp as he's ever been. They talk about him having more energy and stamina than anyone in politics, and that this was about those attendees at this event. I think people can make their own judgments about this. What it also was separately, I think clearly politically, was a missed opportunity. This was in the Philadelphia media market, the single largest media market in any of the 7 battleground states, a place where Donald Trump has a problem with suburban voters, the people who we would describe as traditional swing voters. And what they saw from him last night was a DJ set in large part, not anything like a political argument on any of the issues that will ultimately decide this election.
Can you put into the context of this particular campaign? What has the campaign been trying to do with Donald Trump? What have they been successful at?
Well, they've been trying to keep him focused on the issue set here.
Look, what are they trying to do? They're trying to push him across the finish line, right? He is sundowning. He is falling on his hands and his knees. he is failing to keep moving. And the campaign feels like, because of, and partly, because of how badly the Harris campaign has been performing ever since they chose Waltz. I feel like that was their last good move, was choosing Waltz, right? Ever since then, they have been massively misreading the room. But they think that maybe they can drag Trump across the finish line. I still think that Kamala Harris has a better than even odds of winning, right? I still think that it's less likely that Trump will win than that Kamala will win, but it's not impossible. And that really speaks to the failure of both campaigns, right? Trump himself is like, will he last 21 more days, right? That's the real question.
Especially since Kamala Harris became the Democratic nominee and not Joe Biden. You remember when that transition took place, there was about 2 weeks where Trump was really going after Harris on personal qualities, and Republicans were coming on TV and arguing to Trump on television, as they often do, to focus on policy. The campaign had responded by putting Trump in events where he might be surrounded by groceries to try to keep him focused on talking about inflation, or with moderators on stage conducting a discussion, be it Kristi Noem here or Sarah Huckabee Sanders, to try to give him at least questions that, if he responded to him directly, would have him talking about those issues. They've also largely cocooned him in the conservative media. He has done some unfriendly media. He did an event today with Bloomberg in Chicago, but by and large, over the last month, they've kept him in places talking.
Is that really unfriendly media, though?
Audiences who are favorable to him, and tried to keep him focused on talking about the narrow issue set on which he is most popular. Obviously, that did not happen successfully last night.
And we have some of the question and answer from the event today. We're going to play that in a moment. Ali, we saw some out-of-the-box stuff in 2016. I think that's a diplomatic way of putting it. I mentioned the reading of the snake. But this does feel different to me, and I'm wondering if it feels different to you as well. What stood out to you as you were watching this thing?
So I'm always looking for the parallels, because the way that I think about, and I don't know if you and Ashley and Eli and others who were with us on the 15 and 16 campaign think of it this way too, but I think about us as sort of building the foundation of what Donald Trump was as a public political figure, because his political life, at least in an official capacity, didn't really have that much runway to it, especially after 2015. He was just running for president. But the first thing I thought of when I saw last night was a rally that we did in August of 2016 in Fairfield, Connecticut. We can put up the headline on the screen, because I basically remember writing this story as a listicle of 19 notable thoughts that Donald Trump had during a rally that I described as meandering and diverse in topic. But that, to me, I remember as one that felt very out of the box. And at the time, it was because he was going between lambasting the New York Times, hitting Hillary Clinton, but doing it in a very non-conventional way. If that's the baseline and that's the foundation for what felt strange in 2016, then that puts this event in an entirely new context to me, because we've never seen anything like this. Political rallies are not DJ sets. And when you're in a media market that's as important as the one that Garrett was describing, it's why this event is getting so much attention, and deservedly so.
All right, so we got one more thing to watch, and that's the town hall itself. So yeah. We're going to start off with music. We got our hostess with the mostest here.
Better than you. All those politicians that run and pretend to be
to introduce Donald Trump.
I should not have been there. Better than you. They think
My
they're
presence
smarter
in that
than
moment.
You, and that they
Wait, what's going on? Oh my God. General Milley. We're not ready for you. We're not ready for you. Yeah, apparently this guy who was the former Joint Chief of Staff for Donald Trump, someone who Donald Trump himself picked, refers to Trump as a fascist in Bob Woodward's new book. But that's neither here nor there.
They can sell you a line and a story, and that's not President Trump. President Trump is himself. He's fighting for you. He's fighting to protect you and your family.
President Trump is himself. Thank you.
He loves this country. He loves this country.
People, who even is this? So supposedly this event goes really off the rails. Oh God, he's lip syncing to "God Bless the USA" there.
China took over, and one of the things, get out, we were there like for 20 years. I said, what are we doing here? So we get the hell out. But, you know, I had a talk with the Taliban, and we didn't lose one soldier in 18 months until this catastrophe happened when they took over. But, you know, one of the things we, aside from everything else, we spent billions of dollars years ago to build a big air base. And you knew that one from your own time.
Yes, I did.
A big one, a really good one, powerful runways, long runways. And you know what happened? I'll tell you, they gave it up. And it was 1 hour away from where China built, forget about Afghanistan, 1 hour away from where China builds its...
So we've heard him say this before. I think he's talking about Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, the country that the United States had invaded in the early 2000s, had been occupying and propping up a puppet government for 20 years by the time that Trump was in office. It is the war that Trump failed to get out of because he is in fact a coward. He did not, you know that when you withdraw from a country that you've been occupying, especially a country where you set up a puppet government, things do not go bad. This happened in Vietnam and this happened in Afghanistan when Biden finally, you know, did what was needed and withdrew, right? Trump didn't want that on his record, so the fucking coward stayed in Afghanistan. And he's talking about Bagram Air Base, right? He's essentially, like, this is the guy that Trump fans will tell you is the peace candidate. He stands for peace. He never started any wars, right? He kept on going. He kept a forever war going. He droned the fuck out of people in Yemen. He did acts of war against Iran. He nearly got us in a war with Iran, but no, they give him credit for that. But like at the same time, he's arguing that we should still be in Afghanistan. He's arguing that the United States should have retained control over Bagram Air Base. Right? It was a big air base. It was the best air base, and it's right next to China. We can keep China in check by keeping an air base. Two options, right? One, you continue a costly and harmful military occupation of a country which is known as the graveyard of empires, right? The British invaded, the Soviets invaded, and then the United States invaded, right? Basically, people invade Afghanistan. It doesn't go well because it's really hard to control a mountainous, country like Afghanistan, right? But yeah, no, stay in Afghanistan, right? That's one option. Continue the occupation. That's one option. The other option is that somehow you retain the air base, right? You know, which wouldn't have worked considering that the Taliban took over. But even if it did work, right? How is China going to respond to a single air base, like right next to it? And you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just a bad idea any way you slice it. But no, he thinks that the United States should have kept Bagram Air Base open.
Nuclear weapons would have been very nice to have. And China now occupies that air base, so it's terrible. It's terrible.
It is. Mr. President, as you can see, we've got a lot of American patriots here tonight who want to ask you some questions.
Good.
If you don't mind, we'll move into that portion of the town hall tonight. Let's go to our first question. Our first question is going to be from a man named Reed. And Reed, I'm not certain where you are.
Where's Reed? There he is.
Looking for Reed. Reed.
Hi, Reed.
There he is, over there.
Nice looking guy.
And Reed, I believe you're a Navy SEAL, correct?
No.
No. Okay, I got that wrong. All right, thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Reed.
Hi, Reed.
I'm a single father and Iraq War veteran. I dream of owning a home for me and my son, but mortgage rates under the Biden-Harris administration have made that impossible. What can you do?
How do you think Trump is going to answer this question? All right. It's a good question. You want to be a homeowner. Interest rates are too damn high. What are you going to do, Mr. Trump?
To help make home ownership affordable again.
All right, good. It's a great question. And a lot of people have this question. First of all, it's too expensive to build the homes, and they're building them, and they cost a fortune. And 30% of the cost in some locations is the cost of like planning and certificates and a lot of nonsense they do. They make you go.
I'm sorry, wrong. What are the costs? What is the extra cost of home ownership? It's because it's being used as an investment. shelter, like we were talking about the hierarchy of needs with the Asmongold Hassan debate yesterday, right? Shelter is one of the, base needs of human beings, right? You need food, water, shelter, right? Those are your basic needs, right? We've taken shelter and we've turned it into a motherfucking investment. And we've got people relying on the appreciation of a home in order to be their financial base, right? That's a huge issue. That's a huge problem. It's not focused on satisfying needs. It's focused on building wealth, right? That's a problem.
Through hell, and takes years to get them, zoning approvals, all of the approvals you need. We're going to get rid of a lot of that, but most importantly, we're going to get interest rates brought way down. We had interest rates at 2%, and now they're 10%, and you can't get the money. We had 2%, and there was plenty of money for everybody. And, I call the home part of the American dream. We're going to create the American dream for young people and for older people, too, by the way. We're not going to forget. I mean, I happen to be a very young man, but we're not going to forget the older people. We're not going to forget the older people. By the way, no tax on Social Security benefits for the older people.
He sounds like he's offering specials. We got a special on fried oysters tonight. Got a special on appetizers. No tax on tips.
I guess, somebody said, oh, he's got a conflict of interest because he benefits by that. I'll give mine up if you want. I save tax. But no, we're going to do that for the older people. That's a big deal because you've been eaten alive with inflation, and all I'm doing is getting you back to even. I think when we do that, we're probably just getting you, you have fixed income, and you went up numbers like...
But don't worry, we'll cut your Social Security to fuck you over on the other side.
40, 50, depending on what they include. They like to say it was a 20% increase. It wasn't. It was 30, 40.
He's bringing the weave back.
50, depending on what they want to include. So
I know we definitely have Hannibal Lecter in here somewhere.
But Reed, getting back to you, we're going to drill, baby drill. We're going to have so much energy.
We're going to drill, baby drill. Wait, what did you ask about again? Oh, yeah, interest rates. Jesus fucking Christ. What is this guy doing?
And we're going to bring prices down. Because, your prices are up. Don't forget, the damage is done. We have the worst president and the worst vice president in the history of our country by far.
But you miss him, don't you?
And let me tell you.
You want him back.
She is worse than him. And he's actually...
Because she's beating you.
I didn't think I'd ever say this about anybody.
She can actually string together two sentences, unlike you and Biden. She's not an octogenarian, unlike you and Biden.
You take a look at it. She's more dangerous than him, but he's actually...
But she's beating you.
Smarter than her. I never thought I'd say that.
She's smarter than Biden and Trump combined. Let's be real.
I thought I'd say that. But look...
I got my problems with the Harris campaign, but I will give it to her that she is smarter than both of these doddering octogenarians combined.
We're going to get it down. We're going to drill. We're going to get the energy down. When the energy comes down, prices are going to come down.
Like magic, two completely unrelated things will somehow affect each other.
All of that prices, because when they say, oh, although they had very bad inflation numbers last month, you saw that. Very, very bad inflation numbers, despite the big, they did this big drop, probably too big.
He's mad that the economy's good. He's going to complain about the good, positive economic numbers, right?
I'm not going to get into that. But we're going to get...
You're not going to get into it because it would be posting your own L's, and your campaign staff has told you not to do that anymore.
Because the damage has been done. If we had no inflation now, such damage has been done. The highest, in my opinion, the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They didn't include a lot of the bad numbers. I'll give you an example. On housing and on different things, like crime statistics are fake. They were fake.
Yeah. The crime statistics are looking pretty good, too. Crime's at a record low. You can't have that. No, the crime statistics are fake. The woke cops, fucking cops refuse to report crime, right? Despite the fact that it's justification for them, increasing their budgets, right? They won't report on it because they're woke. The cops are woke.
Statistics. They didn't include some cities that were really bad, so the crime looked like it was just bad as opposed
because the FBI is woke.
Terrific. jobs, 818,000 fake jobs they added, and they padded the job number.
I'm sorry, but what's not fake is the 4.1% unemployment rate. Now, like, that doesn't account for everything, and in a lot of ways, you know, full employment is never even a thought in the American capitalist system. There's a lot of problems with the way that, you know, employment's reported. But that being said, historically speaking, it is a very low unemployment rate.
A couple of months ago, so that they'd look better on jobs. 818, they were fake.
You keep on going back to the well, even as the unemployment rate comes down and down and down. You keep on going back to that well.
They were fraudulent jobs, and they thought they'd announce the real numbers after the election, but we had a whistleblower or somebody that let it out, so they cheated us on 18, think of that, 818,000 jobs they cheated.
So there are estimates of employment, there are estimates of jobs created, and those numbers are released and then later revised, right? This is a totally normal thing. But when it's under Biden, we've got to make it like a criminal conspiracy or something, a deep state conspiracy.
You know, usually when you have those numbers, it's 9,000 jobs off it. This is almost 1 million jobs off. It's not even possible. So we're going to bring things, and Reed, you're going to buy that house, and you're going to pay 2.5%, 3% interest, and you're going to say, I love this guy. Because interest rates, Reed, will follow as the energy goes down. And I made another commitment. I made it over the last month. I've been making it. We have more liquid gold under our feet than Saudi Arabia.
So, I mean, like, Biden's kind of fucked him on this one, right? Because Biden has now turned the United States into a net energy exporter, and in fact, the largest energy exporter in the world, right? So all this shit that he's talking about with liquid gold, and we can pump the liquid gold. Sorry, Biden's already doing that. Drill, baby, drill. Biden's already doing that. It's not a good idea. It's not a forward looking strategy that is taking into consideration the effects of global warming, but Biden is doing it. This is one area that the Democrats have out Republicaned the Republicans, sadly.
Than Russia, than any other country. I'm going to bring down your energy costs 50% in the first year. 50%. And I better do it because I'm all over the place saying I'm going to have problems if I don't get it done. But we have all the capacity to do it. Nobody else can make that statement. We have so much energy, we don't even use it. We get energy from Venezuela. They don't have good oil. You know, they have tar. They have tar that you have to liquefy. And you know where they do it?
Oh, you mean like the Keystone Pipeline that you want to open? I'm sorry, Trump, you're so full of shit. You're so full of shit, and the only way you get by with it is because your average viewer, your average voter has the cognitive capacity of a fucking cucumber.
Houston, Texas, because that's where we have the plant. It's the only...
And not even a crisp cucumber. Like, right? A saggy cucumber. A flaccid cucumber.
...in the world that can do it. We do it in Houston. So for the environmentalists out there, this is not a pretty picture, what flows into the air, right? But we're going to use our beautiful liquid gold. And when we get everything else down, houses, everything's going to come. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to have a house. Just wait a little while. Give me a little while. Let me get in. 1 year from January 20th, we will...
He's literally little pig, let me in.
...have your energy prices cut in half all over the country.
Thank you. And Mr. President, in reference to Reed and his family, he's not in a unique situation. 65% of Americans today cannot buy a home. That has dramatically changed under the Biden-Harris administration, and Kamala Harris has embraced the policies that made home ownership disappear and take away that opportunity from Reed and his family, and 65% of Americans today.
I'm sorry, she's full of shit. You know what did that is COVID. Right? COVID caused a situation where too much money was chasing too little goods. That's what causes inflation. It's not just inflation in the United States, it's worldwide inflation. Everyone experienced it during COVID because of the situation on the fucking ground. This wasn't a Kamala Harris policy. Biden and Kamala didn't get together and be like, you know, it'd be really cool if housing was unaffordable, right? That happened because of inflation, which happened because of COVID, which again, wait, who was 2020? Who was president? Right? It's Biden, right? Biden was president from 2020 to 2024. Oh, wait, no. That's not how our system works. The new president takes over in 2021. So who was in office when the inflation was being caused? Say it with me. This guy, Donald Trump. He did the inflation. He raised the interest rates. That's him. He's the one that doesn't want you to buy a house. Or could it be that the situation on the fucking ground changed and the interest rates went up?
Today. Listen, the American dream is still to own your own home. And now that is not possible because of what they've embraced. And you talk about liquid gold. If any state understands liquid gold and American energy, it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah. The Commonwealth. Make
Yes,
sure.
the Commonwealth.
Make sure, you
The
know.
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
By the way, this is a really great governor, very successful governor. She read some of the numbers. And I thought she would, because why not? Nobody else will do it, but I will.
I did it
because I do it
fast.
for my friends. No, you did it beautifully,
Fast.
too. She has done a fantastic job as governor. And I will say this. I went to school here. I just want to forewarn her, because I've seen it happen and it's career threatening. Don't ever call it a state. It's a Commonwealth. And I was saying,
Lesson learned.
has somebody, because a lot of innocent lambs have come up and they start talking to the people of Pennsylvania. I love you people. I know you so well. I'm here all the time. But yeah, I went to school here. I went to the Wharton School, the great Wharton School of Finance.
Where my dad paid for me to get in, even though my grades weren't good enough.
And they were great. It's a great place. It's a great place. But I went to college here. So never, ever even think. I watched one man crash and burn. He kept calling it the state. I kept saying, it's a Commonwealth. And by the time the evening, I think his political career ended
Yes.
there. So go
Sir,
ahead.
tonight we have some special guests in the audience. We have a Gold Star family that is with us tonight. Mary and Charles Strange are here. Where are they?
Where are they?
Oh, here they are, sir. They're behind us over here to the left.
Come on up here. Come on.
They lost their son, Michael.
Come on up.
Come on up here.
It's a little harder to get up since I got shot. They've made it more difficult. Perhaps.
Oh, I'm sorry. For a second, I thought he was saying that he was having trouble getting up since he got shot, which wouldn't make sense since he was hit in the ear. No, he's talking about there's more security now.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Sir, they lost their son, Michael.
President Trump, great to see you again, buddy. 1760 the gold shot. That's beautiful. Under Obama, all 30 guys died.
Did you want to say anything?
Under Obama is right.
Was he gonna take off his hoodie?
Please, on behalf of your son.
I would ask, Mr. President, my son was killed August 6, 2011 with 29 other men. It was the biggest loss of life in the Iraq and Afghan war. It was the biggest loss of life in a single day in the history of America. 22 of them men were Navy Special Warfare.
It would have been nice if somebody had the guts to pull out before then. It would have been nice if your kid hadn't been sent there in the first place.
To this day, we still haven't gotten any answers. I was wondering, I'm begging you, we would like a congressional hearing.
So here's what we're going to do. In the first week, let me have it, not the first day, because I made a lot of promises in the first day. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close.
We're gonna be dictators on day one. Yeah, we gotta be a dictator that day. So not that first day, but in the first week. We'll do the dictator thing. We'll kill all our enemies. We'll do the purge, and then we'll do a congressional investigation into this guy's son's unit.
In the first week, we will set up a commission. We're going to find out, because so many people in your same position, they want to know what happened. Why did it happen to their son or daughter? And we're going to do that within the first week. So you get ready to come over to the White House, okay?
Thank
All right?
you, Mr. President. I got to say one more thing. I want to let America know, June 2017, President Trump and his wife had me and my wife bring 20 gold stars to the White House. Him and his wife stayed.
The reason that he did that was he had insulted a Gold Star family, right? He was in deep trouble. And so they had to bring in some MAGAs to say, no, Gold Star families love Trump. No, like the shit, calling like veterans and soldiers and people that died in you know, in war losers is not like, right? It's just like, you were there to be his fig leaf. Great.
Food, drinks. They did a candle ceremony for us. President Trump stood up every time, saluted the Gold Star parents.
That was both a celebration, a remembrance. It had all emotion, right? They were happy, they were sad, they were devastated, but they remembered their beautiful boy, right?
Yes.
Their beautiful boy, and we're not going to forget. We're going to find out what happened. We're going to do that within the first week, and you have my word. Okay?
Thank you, President Trump.
Good man. Good man. Oh, I agree. I got the proof.
All right, so chat, don't leave yet. I'm going to be like Trump here and tell you not to leave yet. We got Hannibal Lecter coming up in just a second.
Mr. President.
What a nice couple.
Mary and Charles' daughter Rachel is also here tonight. She is Michael's sister, so thank you, Rachel, for coming tonight too, and God bless you and your family. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
Thank you, darling.
Yes.
Thank you, honey. That's tough stuff.
It is. Thank you for your commitment to...
And like what we were discussing in Afghanistan with the 13 family members, they feel that bad things happened, stupid things happened, and you hate for that to be, and it's your son or your daughter.
God damn. The whole war on terror was a stupid thing that happened, and it didn't just happen. It was Republicans taking advantage of the situation that was a result of blowback from previous intervention in the Middle East. Yeah, it was a stupid thing. Yeah, those people shouldn't be dead. There's fucking 1 million people in Iraq or more that shouldn't be dead.
They deserve it.
This is gross how he's like humping these corpses.
It should have never happened in Afghanistan, I can tell you that, the 13 that died. And you know, they don't mention there were many people wounded too, and I mean seriously wounded with the legs and the arms and the face.
Not like those people that complained about headaches in Iraq. No, that wasn't a real wound.
And we're going to give them everything they want. I've gotten to know those.
The cerebral trauma, yeah, not real.
Thank you, sir. Sir, our next question tonight is from Angelina, who I believe is right here. If you want to come forward, Angelina.
Hi, Angelina.
Hi. Good evening, Mr. President.
Let me stand up for you. Go ahead.
My name's Angelina, and I was raised in a Philadelphia Democrat household, a union household. As a mother of a blended family, my top issues are the same issues that face all Americans. Illegal immigration hurts Black Americans. Inflation hurts Black Americans. And dangerous cities hurt Black Americans. Like my fellow Americans, my grocery bill has not gone down. Everything is still so very expensive. What steps will your administration take to help American families suffering from this inflation?
So, you know, it's such
So,
a great question.
chat, what do you think? So the question is about inflation. The question is about affordability. What do you think Trump's answer is going to be here, right? Do you think it's going to be meaningful? Do you think he's going to talk about price gouging and combating that in some way? Or do you think that he might blame someone else for the high grocery prices?
In the sense that people don't think of grocery. You know, it sounds like not such an important word when you talk about homes and everything else, right? But
No, it sounds like not important word to a rich man who never has to worry about the prices of groceries. Because rich people eat the same amount of groceries as the rest of us. They might get fancier stuff, but they're never sweating the grocery prices, right? That's something for us to worry about. That's something they can't relate to. That's something Vance can't relate to. That's something Trump can't relate to.
More people tell me about grocery bills, where the price of bacon, the price of lettuce, the price of tomatoes, they tell me. And we're going to do a lot of things. You know, our farmers aren't being treated properly. And we had a deal with China, and it was a great
I'd say our agricultural workers aren't being treated properly either.
deal. I never mentioned it because once COVID came in, I said that was a bridge too far, because I had a great relationship with President Xi. And he's a fierce man, and he's a man that likes China, and I understand that. But we had a deal, and he was perfect on that deal. $50 billion he was going to buy. We were doing numbers like you wouldn't believe for the farmer. But the farmers are very badly hurt. The farmers in this country, we're going to get them straightened out. We're going to get your prices down.
Yeah, very badly hurt by your tariffs, actually.
You asked another question about safety and also about black population jobs and Hispanic population, in particular those two. So when millions of people pour into our country, they're having a devastating effect on black families and Hispanic families more than any others. I think it's going to spread to a lot of other.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did she ask about immigration? I don't think she did.
I think it's going to spread to unions. I think unions are going to have a big problem because, you know, employers are just not going to pay the price. They're going to, and it's a very bad thing that's happening. So they're coming in, many are coming in from jails and prisons and mental institutions, insane asylums. That's like, you know, a step above, right? Insane asylum.
So we say insane asylum because of asylum, I guess.
And whenever I go, Hannibal Lecter, you know what I'm talking about. They always go the fake news. That's a lot of fake news back there, too. But they always mention, you know, it's a way of demeaning. They just say, Hannibal Lecter.
It's a way of demeaning what you need to stop bringing up fucking movie characters from 1990 that half of your audience isn't even familiar with. Come on.
Well, you know why? Because he was a sick puppy, and we have sick puppies.
He was a fucking movie character.
Coming into our country. I figure that's a lot. That's better than.
And he's neither late nor great.
Wasting a lot of words. You just say Hannibal Lecter. We don't want to, but they always sort of say, why would he say that?
Because it doesn't fucking make sense to anybody but you who associates like asylum seeking with somebody from an asylum, therefore Hannibal Lecter, therefore that's who they're bringing in. They're not just people whose countries were destabilized by United States foreign policy, in particular policies of Trump, like putting extra sanctions on Venezuela that caused a lot of people to pull up and leave that country. No, it's Hannibal Lecter.
I do it for a lot of reasons, but I do it because we are allowing some very bad people into our country, and they're coming as terrorists. You know, you saw.
Yeah, I would say the whole Trump family maybe should not have been like. Look, I'm in general, I'm you know, pro-immigration, but I feel like maybe at a certain time, the United States should have restricted immigration from Germany. Particularly for families with the last name Trump, right? If they could have just put like for, I don't know, 50 years or something, just restrict that. We would have all been better off.
The record number of terrorists. I had a month, and I love Border Patrol. Did you see they gave me a full endorsement 2 days ago? Border Patrol. The Border Patrol. And they're great. And, you know, they want to do their job. They don't want to let these people come in. They look at them. They can tell. They can look at somebody, say good, bad. They say what's coming into.
Yeah, it's like that meme with Peter Griffin looking at a chart, you know, of skin color. That's how they tell good or bad immigrants, right? They got that skin color chart.
Country now. It's having a huge negative.
Yeah, what was her question? Her question was about grocery prices and safety. That's what she was asking about.
On black families and on Hispanic families and ultimately on everybody. And we're going to close that border so tight, it's going to be closed. And I said the two things.
It's going to be hermetically sealed, folks. Hermetically sealed. Not even oxygen can get in and out.
Things I'm going to do. First, we're going to close that border, and people are going to come in. You want people to come in. We need people to come in. People are going to come into our country legally. You know, it's so unfair. You have people that are waiting on a system, on a line, and they've been waiting on this.
Because there's no path to citizenship, you shithead. Yeah. Because of Republican intransigence for years and years and years. Because people like you don't want legal immigrants either. And you complain whenever there are. You hear about like Springfield and you're like, oh, illegal immigrants. And it's like, oh no, actually, Trump, they're legal. They're legally here. They're helping the town's economy, and he fucking hates it. Well, maybe we could make them illegal again. Maybe we can take away the temporary protected status because they're eating the cats and they're eating the dogs. Sir, they're not eating cats. They're not eating dogs. They're making the economy of a dying Midwestern town slightly better. That is all they're doing.
You know how long? For years, 10 years, 12 years, and they study and they take tests, and then people come. I actually say, why don't you just go on just come on across. I tell people that it's terrible, right? I said, go out. You're incredible. They say, what can I do to speed up the process? I say, you know what? Go to
It doesn't matter because Trump is going to fucking do mass deportations of you either way. Right? If you get citizenship, he'll rescind it. You get temporary, protected status, he'll rescind it. He'll take it away from you and he'll deport your ass violently if need be. That's what he said. That's what his plan is.
southern border. I'll see you on the other side. It's so unfair. But we're going to have them come in legally. You have to see what they have to do. They take tests on, who was the first one here? What date was this? What is
Who was the first one here? Is he trying to say who was the first president? Is that what he's trying to say? Who was the first one here? Who was the first one here? Let me give you a clue. Not Europeans. It was not Europeans who were here first.
1776, all the stuff. And these other people are coming in, and they're affecting the school systems, and they're affecting the hospital system. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on.
Springfield, here we go.
Springfield, Ohio.
Please say that they're eating the dogs and eating the cats.
A town of 50,000 people. They've just added 32,000 people, illegal immigrants, and we're not going to put up with it, and we're going to take care of your costs are going to come down, and you're not going to have a problem with, because the biggest problem, and I'm hearing it from black people, and to a lesser extent right now, but it'll be the same, Hispanic people. And I'll tell you what, our poll numbers have gone through the roof. With black and Hispanic have gone through the roof. And I like...
Yeah, some of those numbers have gone from like 8% to 18%. Through the roof. Through the roof. You're doing really well with those demographics you totally don't have.
I like that. I like that. So we're going to take care of it. You will be, I'll tell you, if everything works out, if everybody gets out and votes on January 5th, or...
On January 5th. On January 5th, that's where everyone should... Yeah, that makes sense, right? The president has decided on January 6th. So you get out there and vote on January 5th, that cold day in January. Make sure to... Wow. Just so I'm really clear and not accidentally spreading disinformation to anybody who doesn't know better, Trump's wrong about the voting date. I hate to have to say this because I know most of you already realize this, but it's November 5th. It's not January 5th. If you vote on January 5th, your vote will not be counted. You need to vote on November 5th or before if you can do early voting, right? That's the let me just straighten that out since the former president is here spreading misinformation.
It used to be you'd have a date. Today you can vote 2 months before, probably 3 months after that.
Oh, be careful with that, Trump. You want your early voters. You want them to vote by mail. You want them to vote any way they can. You're going to need those votes. Be careful, Trump.
I don't know what the hell they're doing. But we're going to straighten it all.
Look, I know what I'm doing, and I'm serving up the top of the hour ad break in about 10 seconds. It's your chance to use a Twitch Prime sub to get out of it. You can pay $6 to Twitch ransom money to get out of the ad break, or maybe you could even be gifted a sub. That can happen. That does happen. More likely to happen to you, though, if you're active in the chat. And here comes that ad break now.
We're going to straighten that out, too. We're going to straighten our election process out, too. That's going to be important also. So thank you very much, darling. We're going to get it straight. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelina. Mr. President, we had in the last year over 800,000 Americans lose their jobs in this country, but 1.2 non-citizens took those jobs. They're filling the jobs that...
In the past year? Like, I mean, she obviously doesn't mean cumulatively because the economy's adding jobs at this point.
Americans could have to provide for their families. And Kamala Harris has been in charge of this border.
Yeah, non-citizens are not taking jobs that American citizens want. Non-citizens are being foisted into jobs like, into agricultural jobs that pay very little. They're being foisted into slaughterhouse jobs, right? Into dangerous jobs. And into jobs where they're not paid enough and they're not treated correctly because they are in a situation where their boss can get them literally, kicked out of the country if they don't play ball, if they try to unionize or anything like that. Yeah, those.
She is the one who has been the border czar who has facilitated this invasion. I've always called it an invasion and a war zone down there because we see the criminals.
Yeah, the anti-war president, Donald Trump, is talking about a war with Mexico now.
Terrorists coming across.
It is an invasion like we've never seen before. And if it was an invasion of people that deserve to come in or that will love the country, will be great. She used to go around saying,
the fuck is he talking about?
They don't commit crime. Have you seen the gang from Venezuela, what they've done in Aurora, Colorado?
But it's only a few.
Record number of Georgians have already voted, says Omega Star.
According to Martha Raddatz. According to Martha, it's just a few apartment
buildings. And by the way, it's hundreds all over the country, and they're like me. They're in the real estate business, but they take it over with rifles. They take it over with a level of sophistication, because you know a lot about guns.
And remember what that actual situation is? It's a delinquent landlord that's treating their tenants like shit, and people have stopped paying the rent. That's what's actually going on. That's what's actually afflicting those people in Colorado, is a delinquent landlord.
And I'm a big protector of the Second Amendment. We've gotten totally endorsed.
Oh, this is Christy Nome. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I could not remember. Wow, I'd almost forgotten to associate her with the dog murder that she loves. I always imagine her covered in puppy blood. Yeah, she loves that. You've already voted. Congratulations, Cindy.
You think that's easy? It's not easy. But the NRA gave me total endorsement. I assume you got total endorsement. We have no choice. We have to.
I got endorsement for the Animal Cruelty Council.
I mean, especially when you have, it's amazing. These radical left lunatics, they want everybody to come into our country. Many of those people are criminals, and then they want to also take your guns away simultaneously. So they don't want your guns, but they want them to come in. So you need it for protection. If somebody knows that you have a gun in your house, they say, let's go after somebody else. People put signs under this gun, or we.
The truth of the matter, and I'm not anti-gun, because I know that the organization that would implement any sort of, any sort of taking guns out of circulation would be the cops. And you know how the cops work. You know who they'd be taking guns from preferentially, right? But that being said, having a gun in your house makes you infinitely more likely to have yourself or a family member die by means of that gun. Much more likely than you defending your family from an intruder is that somebody's going to die by that gun.
Actually spell the kind of a gun they have. We have an AK-47 inside. And people say, you know what, let's just...
He got it right this time. Congratulations, Trump. He had been calling that an MK-47, which I don't think is a thing.
And I knew about an AK-47 from a few weeks ago. And the AR-15, I know about...
Yeah, how would they know if you have a gun? Well, you have a little sign in front of your house.
I know a lot. But you know what? You have a lot of bad people out there, and you can't, it just can't be a one-way street. You know one thing, because she wants to take your guns away, if you take them away, the bad guys are not giving them up. That's the only thing. I don't think the good people are giving them up either, you want to know the truth. But the bad guys are not giving up their guns. That's the only thing I know for certain, right?
It's true. You're true. Your J.D. Vance did a fantastic job on Sunday morning, calling out the fake news. Yes. For how they're trying to diminish the devastation that's going on in some of these communities. And Kamala Harris has facilitated losing 300,000 children as well since she's been in charge of the border. I always say that they're not missing children, that they are trafficked and kidnapped and murdered children.
Because QAnon fucking loves that, because it sounds like you're talking about an underground network of satanic pedophiles, right? And that fits right into their conspiracy theory.
Because they've come across that border and we have no idea where those children are, and we know how devastating it is, what's happening to their lives right now with what she's facilitating.
I think that, you know, all bad numbers, we have a lot of bad numbers. There's so much bad.
All numbers are bad. Math is hard.
It's disgraceful. You know, as an example, there'd be no war with Russia and Ukraine. There's no way who's going.
Because you would have told Zelensky to surrender. Yeah, I get it. He would have given away those two oblasts, and I mean, it would have been over for 5 years until Russia decides it wants more of you to take another bite out of that Ukraine apple. They've already taken Crimea. They'd take 2 more oblasts, and then they'd be able to rearm and come back with more. Because you give him everything he fucking wants.
Understand what's happening.
He owns your ass, Trump. He owns you.
It was the apple of his eye. He used to talk about it, but I said, "You're not going in," and he wasn't going in. It's only because of Biden. He looked at this guy. He can't even believe it. But the same with Ukraine. I got along very well with Zelensky, very well. In fact, he came to New York 2 weeks ago. He came to see me, and I got along very well with him. I'm going to negotiate that thing out. That is now a death trap. You have cities that are all down. Those gorgeous golden domes, those magnificent domes are laying under, I don't know, they're 1,000 years old or something. The heritage, what's happening.
After Russia committed war crimes, yeah?
But many more people are killed than they're reporting. They knocked down, that was my business. They have apartment houses that are really, they're like 3 blocks, city blocks long. Not that tall, but pretty tall, and they are big, and they knock it down with a missile, and they say 2 people were slightly injured. You know, a lot of people, the number of people dying in the Ukraine-Russia war is a far greater number than anybody knows. And Biden has done nothing about it. He hasn't even spoken to Putin in over a year. Know nothing about it. And
Biden has done nothing about it. Look, there's some people that you know, complain about like the U.S. expenditures in terms of arming other countries, right? But Biden most certainly has done quite a bit about it.
This is a war that,
in fact, I would say that Russia would occupy a far greater percentage of Ukraine right now if Biden, as you said, had not done anything about it.
and we're going to get that war ended. I'm going to try, and I think I can, get it ended as president-elect. In other words, before I even take over the White House. Got to stop the people from dying. They said to me, well, whose side are you on? I was interviewed by fake news, CNN, you know, fake news. Uh-oh, their camera.
Stonecap says, according to Hannibal Lecter, if Trump had lived in the 1930s, World War II would have never happened. Yeah, because he's good friends with Hitler.
Their camera just...
I've read his book. It's really good.
No. Their camera just went off. Okay. It always happens. Whenever I point to them, immediately they turn off because they know it. But I was Caitlin Collins, a nice person, but Caitlin Collins is interviewing me, and she said, well, whose side are you on? I said, it's not a question of sides. I want people to stop dying. That's all. I want people to stop dying. And, you know, it was a very interesting thing because it was a CNN. It was like this, a smaller room, much smaller.
You should have just been honest and said Putin's side.
This is a very big room, but it was a much smaller room. But they had all people in there from CNN. Within the first 5 minutes, they were totally on my side because it's common sense. And we're now the party of common sense. I say it. We're conservative, but we're the party of common sense. We need walls. We want good education. We want low interest rates. We want to be able to buy a house. We want jobs. And you know what? We want a strong military. I rebuilt our entire military. And we want a strong military. And ideally a strong military that we don't have to use. Is that even better? We'll have a strong military. If we don't have to use it, that's even better.
I love it. I love it. So, Mr. President, let's get back to our questions. We have Yanni, who's waiting to ask you a question, has been waiting a long time. Yanni, welcome. It'll just give them 1 second. Here they come, right behind you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today, Mr. President.
Oh, my God.
Answer questions from all the voters of Pennsylvania and just to work hard and show support. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm a small business owner in Lansdale. I have a small breakfast lunch restaurant, Coffee Corner. And thank you. And to be honest, Mr. President, I really, am praying for you to get in there and change the policies. Ever since the gas prices started spiking, I noticed literally everything started spiking, from deliveries to services, goods, even maintenance, overall maintenance. Everything just spiked up, and it's really hurting small businesses, small business owners. And
It'd be nice if somebody was in there to stop price gouging.
So,
But this guy calls that communism.
my question
It's a policy that Richard Nixon enacted. He's calling it communism.
what's your plan to help bring common sense back and help small businesses that got destroyed by Democrats after COVID and the Biden administration?
So, great. Because small businesses are actually bigger than big businesses when you add them all up, and it's very important. And sounds like yours. I would love your food. I can tell by looking at that guy. I think I'd like to go over there.
I think that the late, great Hannibal Lecter would love to have you for dinner, sir.
If I'm over there, I'm going to stop it. The fact is that, they want to get away from gas. And I have friends, they're into the cooking world. I'm not. I just like to eat. But they're into the cooking. And I don't know how you feel. It sounds like you...
Oh, God, he's on about the gas stoves again.
Really, gas is much better than the electric.
He loves gas.
For cooking, right? And they have this thing about, they want to put gas out of business, right? No gas. The amazing thing? We don't have electric in this country, but we have all the gas you can use. We have oil and gas. That's what we have. And even the cars, if you look, they want to go with all electric cars. California is having blackouts every week, brownouts, blackouts, and then they come up with rules and regulation to go to all electric, but they can't even supply what they have. It's so nuts. We're going to get, number one, your utility costs. You heard me say it before. Your costs will be down, and we're getting rid of all the and if you want electric, great. And if you want gas, great. The only thing you can't have is a hydrogen car, right? You heard me say that, right? Because you know what happens? They have a new car, they say it's great, but it's got one problem. You know what the problem is? Every once in a while, one will blow up. And if it does blow up and you happen to be inside of it, you're in bad luck because you're not recognizable. Do you know that? It's the new thing, hydrogen. I said, no, thank you. I don't want it. I don't want. They called the wife. That's not my husband. Oh, yes, it is. It's no good. So if we get your energy costs will be down by 50%. Your interest is going to come down, and people are going to start to make, not only you, people will have more money to go to your restaurant. You're going to have a great business. And, during COVID, I was the one that worked out the loans. I don't know if you got one, but everybody, so many people got millions of small businesses. And Linda McMahon was the head of Small Business Administration, which was a big business, but she was the head.
Yeah, millions of people that had the money to pay back those loans didn't have to pay back those loans. Meanwhile, students are still on the hook because of Trump's justices, because of Trump's court.
Linda McMahon was phenomenal. So many people tell me about her that she was one of the best secretaries. But Linda McMahon was in charge, and they loaned billions of dollars out to people with small businesses, and it was the greatest investment we made. It stopped us from going into a 1929 depression, which is exactly what we would have had. And she did a fantastic job.
She did a fantastic job.
We're going to get your costs way down.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have the clip of Trump predicting a Great Depression under Biden? Like, I feel like he said that at some point.
Thank you.
Mr. President, my state, I always tell people it's hot in the summer, it's cold in the winter, and it's a long ways to drive anywhere, which I think a lot of Americans are experiencing, that no matter what, you're energy dependent. And since Joe Biden has been in the White House...
I don't really understand. The governor of, North Dakota is brought in to help Trump wrangle some votes in Pennsylvania?
And Kamala Harris has supported every single one of his policies. Did you hear her on The View? Did you hear her say she wouldn't change a thing from what Joe Biden has done? It has cost...
I don't think that's what she said.
It's cost the average American family $4,500 just in energy costs. Just in energy costs.
Okay. Hold it,
oh, we
please.
have something.
Okay, so now here's what starts to happen, right? Here's where it all starts to unravel.
Doctor, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is something that happens a lot. It happens at Kamala's events. It happens at Waltz's events. It happens at Trump's events. It happens at Vance's events, right? People pass out and need a doctor. Watch Trump's reaction to this.
We have incredible people. They come here hours before, and it's a little hot, and so they're with us all the way. We got to respect them, and you take your time, doctor. Take your time. Thank you very much. We always have great doctors in the audience. We've never had too much of a problem.
So bad, but I'm afraid if I go, they're gonna play copyright music, because I know it's sometime around here is where the dance party starts. It looks like, let me see, how long do we have until music? Nope. I have like 2 minutes.
We have, it's incredible.
Oh wait, I can do it. I can pee in 2 minutes. Let's try. I'll be right back.
First responders. Our first responders are amazing, the way they can do things so beautifully and quickly. Thank you. We'll get it taken care of fast. A lot of it's pretty easy to take care of. Hardest thing is going to be the border, though, in terms of the people that have been let in. The people that have been let into this country, what they're doing, where do they come from, what are they doing, what's their thought process when they allow a thing like that to happen? Let's wait till they take care of this incredible person who I guarantee you is a great patriot. I guarantee it. Everybody in this room is a patriot. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Some problems. That looks a little bad. Thank you. That looks a little bit bad.
Did I miss any freakouts? Do I need to rewind it? Is there anything I could pause it and you will just hang out? Yeah. But I didn't miss anything, right?
Don't worry, we'll extend for a little time, okay? We're not going to lose anything. We just want to make sure they're fine. This is a little bit of a tough one, I think. Little tough.
Yeah, why is Kristi Noem there? Maybe he's having FOMO, right? Maybe he feels like he missed out on picking her as vice president. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing, the passing out at rallies thing. I mean, it always if you get enough people together, and I don't know if he said it was, I mean, it doesn't look like it's hot there, but you know, you're gonna have this happen, right? And they, at some point, somebody decided it was good optics for the candidate to point out what's happening and to be like, can we get some help down there? To make it look like the candidate's like saving them. You know what I mean? Like the candidate really cares, right? So, I mean, they do that, right? Everybody does that at their rallies when this happens, right? They kind of act like the candidate needs to direct the responders, when in actuality, probably the responders have it themselves. But yeah, this isn't actually making for compelling, television. And I think this ends up pissing off Trump because remember, the one activity that he succeeded at was as a reality show host. He, The Apprentice did really well. So he's got an eye for, what's good television. And he starts to get a little cranky. They're singing God Bless America. We saved her with music, folks.
While we're waiting, so we had a beautiful evening, and I don't know if they could get this song up quickly, but if they could work really quickly backstage while we're waiting, Ave Maria. We had Ave Maria the other day in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Now, chat's telling me that Ave Maria, there's like a scene in the Godfather with Ave Maria. I think that's why they chose it, right? It's got to be some movie reference.
And Butler, we had 101,000 people. It was the most a celebration. Corey, I call Corey the firefighter, the chief.
Because I can't remember his last name.
He was great. And if they could play
I care about him so much I forgot his last name.
If you can get it, Justin, let's go if you can. It's a little quick notice.
It's not about the dead firefighter. It's all about Donald J. Trump.
Ave Maria.
Okay, so it kind of like starts off as a way of... It starts off as a way of covering up the fact that you got it's dead air. He's trying to get rid of the dead air. We got music. I don't know, chat. Should I put...
Have nice music. We're together. Not bad.
Yes.
Not bad.
We're still playing Ave Maria.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, everybody, very
Thank you,
much. That's
everybody,
very
for your
nice. Thank
patience. Yes. We'll be praying for him. Yep. Thank you, sir. Sir, as we talk about how things have gotten harder under this administration and how Kamala Harris's policies have been...
So, yeah, I mean, what I've noticed lately, and we saw this the other day on a CNN bit where a Trump, like a Republican, accidentally pronounced Kamala Harris's name correctly, right? And then immediately corrected herself to make sure that she could say Kamala, which is not how the name is pronounced, right? She would made it. They're making a point of mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name. It's almost like a vice signal.
Been so dangerous for the American people. There's someone here tonight who wanted an opportunity to ask you a question. Her name is Heather. And Heather, would you please stand? She's right here, and
Hi.
she is so thrilled to be talking to you tonight, Mr. President.
Good evening, President Trump. My name is Heather, and I was a registered Democrat for most of my life, but not anymore.
Wow.
Look at now. Yes.
Wow. Threatened.
I no longer identify with the Democratic Party.
I thought she was going to say, I no longer identify as a Democrat.
They've put criminals and foreign enemies ahead of American citizens. The border is the issue of this election because if we can't secure the border, we won't have a country. We know that you're going to finish the wall, but how are you going
I don't think he's planning to finish the wall.
to handle the deportation of criminals?
Again, the wall was a huge waste of money in the first place. It's not,
So, if you've watched any of our last rallies, we have a Criminal Aliens Act of 1798. That's a
Is it 1798? Is that the actual year?
long time ago. And it gives the president tremendous power to do what has to be done to secure our country. And you're right, you know, so if you look at the polls,
Yeah, 1798.
is the economy, number 2 is inflation. Let's even put them together. And number 3 is the border. I disagree.
Chat, this is the Alien and Sedition Acts. These were controversial even in their day and are thought of as a very undemocratic period in the country, right? This is not something that people look back to and, oh, the good old Alien and Sedition Acts. We can only get those back. It allows the detention and removal of immigrants only when there is a declared war between the United States and a foreign nation or government. So this would, from the sounds of it, necessitate declaring war on countries that we are not at war at. It doesn't even make sense.
I do agree with you. The number one issue this country has.
Medic. He's starting to get pissed. These damn hogs keep on passing out on me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying to talk about criminal aliens and how we're going to use the Alien and Sedition Act to get rid of them, but I want to talk about criminal aliens. These people, these hogs keep on passing out.
Do you want me to go tell them so it's not a microphone?
No,
Yeah. President is wondering.
What song is this? Is Ave Maria again? I can't tell. No. I want to know what they're playing, but I don't want to get copyright clapped. I'm curious what it is that's playing. I can't tell.
Doctor.
It doesn't sound like Ave Maria. I've got no idea what they're playing. He's trying to get them to open the doors. Did he pay to use these songs? I mean, what is there? There's a oh my god, ASCAP fee, right? You pay like an ASCAP BMI fee, maybe, but maybe the venue pays that, right?
For security reasons, they can't. But you know what? I said just open them, because anybody comes through those doors, you know what's going to happen to them.
It looks like, sir, she's on her feet and walking out. Let's encourage her.
Thank you.
Let her know
Thank
we'll be
you.
praying for her.
This is good shit.
It's really warm in here. Everybody agrees that it's really warm in here. We've got a lot of people who love America. I'm going to ask that if you have a chair...
You know, that's what happens when you got a lot of people who love America. It gets very warm, it gets very sweaty.
We can spend a little more time.
Yes.
And personally, I enjoy this. We lose weight. You know.
You enjoy, he's enjoying it.
4 or 5 pounds. It's okay with me.
Kamala Harris is
But some people have been waiting here for 2 days for this, so you know it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough, but they're going to try and get those doors open.
Yes.
And I don't know whose building this is, but if they had air conditioning, do you see any air conditioning?
They probably can't afford it, sir, in this economy.
In this economy, sir, this is the Biden economy. This is the Kamala Harris economy. No one can afford bacon, so... Venue owners, fucking rich-ass capitalists, no, they can't afford anything.
That's right. They don't want to give us air conditioning. It's too expensive. It costs too much. Anyway, but they're both okay.
But when we get in, folks, we'll drill, baby, drill, and make air conditioning very cheap.
They're both in good shape.
And that's wonderful.
Would anybody else like to faint?
See, he's pissed. He's legitimately pissed now.
Let's do it now.
Please raise your hand. You know what we could
Faint
do, though?
faint now, or forever hold your peace.
If my guys can do it, how about we'll do a little music. Let's make this a musical fest. Oh, looky, looky. Oh.
Here we go.
That's great. That's great. Because it's nice and cool outside, right?
Yes.
It's nice and cool. Why don't we do, and I mean this, if my guys can hear me, 2 things. Put up the chart, my favorite chart.
He's going to put up the chart that was up when he got shot. For somebody that acted like this was a traumatic event, he sure is nostalgic about it, right? And this is the weird thing about the Trump people. They love the assassination attempts for some reason, right? They're always going back to that. He's, you know, like Ave Maria. It's all part of the lore now, right? It's all part of the, oh, this wonderful chart, right? He is romanticizing his own attempted assassination, and it's really fucking strange. And this combined with the Trumpies we saw last night that were like almost chomping at the bit for this guy to get assassinated so they could purge the Democrats that they hate. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on here. There's some weird stuff. This chart is like a sacred artifact, says Pre-Breakfast Banana.
My all-time favorite.
I don't think you're too far off.
And let's listen to Pavarotti sing Ave Maria. Can you hear that? They gave me the Ave Maria with no
Not just any Ave Maria.
voice.
It's the Pavarotti.
There it is. That's my favorite piece of paper anywhere in the world. I sleep.
He's self-soothing. He's self-soothing.
I kiss it. And you see those numbers, by the way, for those that we talked about, you know, the border, when you're talking about the border, look at the numbers. That was the lowest it ever was right there. That was the last day I was in office. And we're going to get it lower than that. But we're going to let people come in. We're going to let people.
You're gonna get it lower than that? You're gonna increase COVID numbers? Are you gonna lock the country down? That's why the number was that low.
Come in. So very, very important. But there's one of my most favorite. If I didn't turn to the right, I wouldn't be here with you right now. Right. So it's a sort of a.
And you know what? There might be a more competent Republican candidate in your place, right? I don't know. Maybe we're all better off that he turned to the right that day.
But I was very proud of that before the fact. Now, even if it had lousy numbers, I would love that piece of paper a lot. So put on Pavarotti singing Ave Maria. Nice and loud. Turn it up louder. We want a little action here.
We want a little action? All right, let's watch this. Here we go. He's sitting there to Ave Maria doing this shit. What is he gonna grab you? What is he doing? Is he doing a danse macabre? He is theatrical, isn't he? He's doing a danse macabre. He's chair humping. He's getting ready for his appearance on Rogan, so he's chair fucking. All right, so this is what's going on here. This is what we're gonna do. Wait, is he saying something? Stand up. That's for their boy. Oh, the military family. He's dedicating the Ave Maria to the Gold Star family. That's what he's doing. But yeah, it's about to get weird. It's about to get very, very weird in here. So I think the idea in the beginning was just to kind of cover up this dead air, right? But at this point, I don't even know. I think he got a taste of Ave Maria. He wanted to listen to the whole thing. This is his standing, he's like just standing around listening to Ave Maria. Like that's all that's going on right now. It's Pavarotti singing. They're clapping. The song must be over. There we go. Is it over?
Let's not do any more questions. Let's just listen to music. Let's make it into a music. Who the hell wants to hear questions, right? Isn't that beautiful, though? It's so beautiful. And we played that in
We're starting to hear more denture noises.
Butler, Pennsylvania. We had a moment of silence, and then we had the bells of Notre Dame go off, and then we had a great opera singer, Christopher, who was so incredible, and a great, great opera singer. That's Pavarotti. Pavarotti, I guess, is... I actually asked Christopher, I said, your voice is...
I'm surprised he doesn't call Pavarotti Luciano, right? He remembers everybody's first name.
How does it compared to Pavarotti. No, 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 sir. He was the maestro. He was the greatest of them all. And this man's voice, you all probably heard it. He was phenomenal. But he said, no, 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 Pavarotti was the greatest. Maybe we'll play Time to Say Goodbye when we end.
Yes,
okay?
sounds fantastic.
All right. Do we want to do that?
Absolutely.
We'll have a little. Instead of your normal, like, rock out of the place.
Yes.
And then you're going to say, time to go to bye. Then you're going to go vote. We're going to win the state of, we win Pennsylvania. We win the whole thing.
Yes.
We're going to win. We're going to win. If we win Pennsylvania, we're going to win the whole thing, right? So it's going to really be something. We just had some numbers coming out of Virginia, which is great. We have numbers coming out of, we win this Commonwealth. We win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We are in clover, and then we're going to fix our country, and we're going to fix it fast. We're going to fix it fast.
It's just funny because Virginia, from all accounts, is nowhere close to being a swing state.
So get that song done.
Okay.
Get that song ready,
Got
and
that
when we
song
leave, we're
pulled
going to have a beautiful, you could just sit. By the way, when we leave, you don't have to go so fast. You can sit and listen. We'll play a couple of songs. Some of you will be a little warm, but that's okay. It's not a bad thing. And if you want, we're going to do that, but I think
You'll lose some weight.
don't you think? A little different.
I think it'd be amazing, sir.
Nice to have imagination. Isn't it a nice thing to have
Whatever you say, sir.
imagination? It's like when Kamala's teleprompter went out the other day. She was at 32 days. Did you see that?
I did.
She loses teleprompters, and you wouldn't know that she lost it. Me, I always lose. You know, if you're a politician, you can count on 5% of the time you lose a teleprompter, sometimes really badly, like in the middle of a sentence, and you say, ooh, that's a good, you got to have a good memory. If you don't have a good memory, you can't be much of a politician. They go out. Sometimes, if you're outside, the wind blows them down. I had one in Ohio. We had 45-mile-an-hour winds, and I said, I'm going to lose these suckers. And within about the first 2 sentences, they were gone. They
I remember
flew
that.
off the
I was
stage.
at that rally.
For Bernie Moreno, who's now doing very well, I understand,
He
the
is.
senator, so I think he's doing very well. But we'll listen to a couple of songs if you want, and that's okay with me. I like it. So we'll do that. We'll do those songs that we had mentioned, Justin. And if Justin doesn't get it right, he gets fired. Okay.
No pressure, Justin.
Sir, I have a quote that I like a lot by John Wayne. It says, life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid.
Yeah.
I think that perfectly explains Kamala Harris, right? Right, sir?
That explains somebody standing up here.
Now, our life has been hard because of her, but can you imagine what it's like to wake up as Kamala Harris? How hard life must be? My goodness.
Well, we have to beat her. Look,
We do.
It's going to be really hard to be the winning candidate in November.
She's not for this job. Everybody knows it. Look, we're running against not her. We're running against a very powerful and a very corrupt machine. That's what it is.
right.
She's just, and the same thing with Joe Biden. Joe doesn't know where the hell he is. You know, when you talk about Biden, he got 14 million votes. He won the primary. And we had a debate. His numbers were very bad, and it looked like we were going to win. You don't know what's going to happen, but it looked like he was down substantially. They went to see him, and they said, "You're getting out." He said, "I don't want to get out. I won. You're getting out." That was the overthrow of an American president. You can call it a coup, but I don't even call it that anymore because a lot of people say, "What the hell is a coup?" You can call it that.
It doesn't matter. You could do a coup. I mean, I basically tried to do a coup, so let's not put a pejorative to it.
And frankly, she's doing horribly right now.
Shocked she doesn't have Wagner on that playlist? Yeah.
60 minutes where they replace her answer with another answer. She's doing horribly. I have a feeling he might have done better than her. Let's see. What you have to see what the end is. Maybe they made a good move. But when they talk about a threat to democracy, how about where they take a candidate who won fair and square, they throw him out, and they put up a woman who failed, was the first one to drop out of a field of 22 and got no votes. And this is the person we're running against. And she is not a smart woman. That's true. And we've had that for 4 years. We're not going to have it for another 4 years. We're not going to have it.
That's right. So we're not going to complain about things. We're going to fix them, right? We're not going to complain. We're going to fix them. And you are going to fix them right here in Pennsylvania by showing up and voting for President Donald John Trump. We're going to make America great again, right?
Those doors are open. That feels good.
It does.
I feel it right now. I don't know who's out there trying to get in, but you know what? Doesn't that feel nice?
Yes.
And you don't even have, there's nothing like outdoors. You don't even have the cost of an air conditioner if they have them in this beautiful factory. Anyway, go ahead, please.
Well, sir, do you want to play your song and then greet a few people, or do you want to? Well, you had said you wanted to close with a specific song.
Okay, let's do a couple of
two more fast questions.
So, Justin, how about a couple of really beauties, and we'll sit down and relax. Let me just give you the bottom line, though. We win
How about a couple of really beauties, Justin? And if you don't do them right, you're fired.
Pennsylvania. We win this great
They
competition.
think I'm kidding.
We are going to win the whole ball game. It's such an important place, and we relate. And we are up in the polls fairly nicely. Fairly nicely.
You're down by 1.
But it's really important. And we're going to turn this country around. It's the greatest movement in the history of our country, MAGA, Make America Great Again. When Biden would go on, he used to go on and say, we will stop MAGA. We will stop, remember with the purple background, the pink and purple? He looked like...
I think he means the red and black background, right? There's one weird speech that Biden gave in front of, there was soldiers, and the background was kind of like red and black. It looked like Persona 5. I don't know why he's remembering pink and purple, but...
But she's worse than him, remember it.
Yeah, the devil. It did look like the black and white. It wasn't pink and purple. The devil. What devil are you talking about that wears pink and purple?
Say we're going to stop MAGA.
Waluigi?
means make America great
again.
I mean, what are you going to stop? And we are indeed going to make America great again. America has never, we're a declining nation right now. We're a nation in decline. And we're not going to be in decline for long, let me tell you. Every country respected us 4 years ago. We were energy independent. We had everything. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're going to bring...
We weren't. We were objectively producing more energy from the United States now than we were when Trump was a president.
Bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Go and vote.
Build back better? Are you literally like cribbing Biden's notes?
Everyone, let's thank
Let's get the music on. Get the music on.
God bless you. Let's send President Trump back to the White House.
What is this song? Time to say goodbye. Okay. So I don't even know this song, but he's gonna... So we're gonna kind of speed it up a little bit. Whatever the fuck this is. So he's like kind of conducting. Can we zoom in on him? Can we zoom back in? There we go. There we go. He's doing his thing. He's nodding along. Oh, it's a man's world. It's James Brown.
Not a woman or a girl.
He's literally chair fucking. All right, let's get some dancing. Let's do some dancing, Donald. Remember when you were cool? We're gonna do some dancing. Like it's 1982. I'm surprised he doesn't have like Duran Duran or, you know, the early 80s. You would think that Duran Duran would be like right up Donald Trump's alley. But yeah, we were just gonna awkwardly not quite dance. It's not cool for a man to like outright dance, but oh, if we got sound again.
Another question or two if you'd like, but probably. Do you want to do one? Do you want to do one? Let's go. Let's go. You know, but it did so beautifully. How about this? We'll play YMCA. And
Here, I'll answer a few more questions. No, wait, never mind. I'll
important election in the history of our country. And you know,
we'll play YMCA instead.
Fix the border. We did everything. We had a great economy. It was good. For 20, we didn't have to say. By the way, we got millions of more votes in 20 than we did 16. But there's never been spirit that we've seen like this, and that's because we saw how bad they are. They are so bad, and frankly, they're evil. They're evil. What they've done, they've weaponized our elections. They've done things that nobody thought was even possible. So we're gonna go. We're gonna vote. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna make our country great. This is gonna be. I want this to be a really important evening. And those two people that went down are patriots, and we love them. Yes. And because of them, we ended up with some good music, right? Right. So play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Go, everybody.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! There he goes, there he goes, there he goes, the Trumpster. Our national lolcow. Chad, it's about time that we have a national lolcow, honestly. Here he goes, here he goes, come on. Do a little dance, Donald, do a little dance. Do your dance, do your dance. Yeah, that dude behind him looks sweaty. Maybe it really it looks like it really is hot. To YMCA, they're doing the letters. He's going. This is so good. This is so good. This is so perfect. Trump dance party. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, zoom in, camera. Zoom in. I don't I guess they're trying to show the crowd, but I want to zoom in. Yes, 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 yes. Let's go back in. Look at this man. That's how he dances. He dances like a Momo doll. Did he do the weave? I feel like he did the weave there. Was that the weave? Okay, so now we're coming up with Rufus Wainwright.
Keep going.
Rufus Wainwright, Hallelujah. It's the song from Shrek. I think, is it Shrek 1? Reminds me of the Charlie Brown. Wait, who are the Charlie Brown dancers? Congregation is whack, yeah. I don't know if he's gonna be able to dance to Hallelujah. It's not really much of a dancing song. It's more of a reflective song. I'm sure Leonard Cohen would love the fact that Trump is using his song. Is Leonard Cohen alive? Somehow I feel like Leonard Cohen... No, he's dead. He's dead. Shorty got low, 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 low. Here we go. I can't do it like him. You gotta be stiff. You gotta be stiff at fucking his wood to dance like Trump. You can't have any part of your body moving independently. You gotta move as a unit. Look at this absolute unit. Look at this absolute unit here. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. That's what's playing right now. That song. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And then the Sinead O'Connor song comes on. Look, waiting for Trump to get done with his dance routine, that can be kind of boring, but not as boring as getting stuck in a 3-minute ad break, which happens every hour on the hour to you on Twitch. If you no longer want to see those ads, you can get out of them for free or for $6. Or you could possibly be gifted a sub. That can happen. That does happen, but it's more likely to happen to you if you're active in the chat. That ad break is coming your way in about 4 minutes and 20 seconds here. Plenty of time to get out of the ad break. Here he goes, here he goes, yeah. Should we take off the 2 times? Oh, he looks like he's... It looks like he's in slow motion. When you slow him down to regular, he's really not moving much at all. Wow. This is really all he does for like 40 minutes. Oh, there's the Guns N' Roses. Well, there it is, chat. There it is. I think most of the good dancing came during YMCA. Chat, I gotta be honest, that bored me. Alright, I am bored. I know that if you're watching me on Shorts chat, you're probably extremely bored right now. That's why I'm gonna end the stream right now. End the stream. Raid everyone in. Raid everyone into our big